Power on.
No one told you life was gonna be this way.
When it comes to one-year-old Mariah Cartavius, you are not.
Space, the final frontier.
To anyone who's even thinking about leaving, you can forget it. You need this as much as we do. When was the last time you danced with the night air hitting your nips? Don't you want to feel that carefree again, just like balls deep in joy?
They're here.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Now Trending Live. It is Monday, May 14th. How did you like that intro, guys?
That was insane.
That was.
I don't know what the Tina Fey thing is from.
From Sisters.
Oh.
From Sisters.
Never seen that.
You have to see that. We're going to talk about siblings later. That's going to be part of our question of the day. Because I saw on the show sheet question of the day towards the end of the segment, so it'll give us something to talk about later in the show, as yesterday was Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
I think I sent you a text.
Yes,
Aw,
you did.
that
Chris
was
texted
nice.
me. He sent me Happy Mother's Day in the DM.
No.
So anyhow, you're listening to Now Trending Live. I'm your host, Joy Cannizzaro, and I'm here with my lovely other hosts, Shavonne K.
Okay.
Right?
Shavonne, no last name.
Shavonne,
Shavonne.
can I say, what do you want to go by?
Shavonne.
Why not Shavonne K?
Because Shavonne is enough.
Do you think so?
Yes.
Like, I just
Why
don't
are you
think
trying
Joy's...
to change things up?
I
all
don't
of a
know.
sudden?
I need a ring. Like, I need something that just...
Shavonne.
Like, my tongue sounds...
Shavonne sounds fine.
Thank you, Chris.
I like Shavonne K.
No, I don't.
And then we have the lovely
And neither does Shavonne.
Chris Metal here.
Can we
What's
call
going on,
Can
everybody?
we call
I
him
like
Chris
my
Metal Metallic?
Chris
name. No, we don't.
Chris
I
Metallic.
have the shirts to prove it.
And Chris Metallic is... Chris,
Here we go.
and Chris Metal has two jobs today. Not only is he co-hosting Now Trending Live, he's also producing.
Trying.
We are on location.
We are.
We
We are on location. We're actually at Connecticut School of Broadcasting, Palm Beach campus, which we're way in Palm Beach.
They already want us to leave.
Not just the tip, we're way in deep.
Oh, jeez.
Right, Shavonne hates when I say that, and I love saying it.
I see what you did there.
Do you see? But aren't we like way up in here? When you were driving up here,
Yeah.
how did you feel? Like, did you feel like I'm
Yeah,
never
because you've
going
never
to
been here
get there?
before.
I had never been to this location, this school before. However, I am very familiar with the surrounding area. I
Yeah.
have family in this area, so.
Cool.
Yeah, but I didn't know the school was literally like, a stone's throw away from where my family lives.
Families. What about any ex-girlfriends? We have any ex-girlfriends up here that we can
Not in
contact?
Palm Beach, no.
No? I just figured we'd get a good story for the show.
It's great, but we have so many good stories already lined up, ready to go.
We actually do. We
If
have
you want to change them up, that's fine.
We do. We have lots of good stories to talk about today. Anything new? It's been a while since we've actually had a show.
Yeah, Chris and I were trying to figure that out. When was the last time we were all together?
Is it before Valentine's Day?
No, it was at least Valentine's Day, maybe later. But I know you guys did a couple shows without me in
I think
Pembroke.
one, and that was because of construction as well.
Yeah.
Well, we took a break because of construction, and then there were a couple shows one or two shows I couldn't make it to.
Right.
And then before that is the last time we were together. So I think that takes us back to February.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's been a long time, hands down. I actually forgot how to do a lot of this, so everybody's kind of bear with me. Plus, we're in a different place than we used to, so the setup's really different. We don't have our B bar and
We're
all
not
those
different.
things.
Right. We're not used to walking into our typical studio and setting up. It's really not only do we sit here and have this podcast, but producing it is a lot of work as well. To make sure everything's connected right, just to go ahead and get proper output.
Yep.
So there's a lot of work that does actually go into it. And it is a challenge when you walk into a new environment and you're working with totally different equipment, even though it will produce the same result. It's a different technique. So, in this field, you're constantly,
Yep.
Brainstorming, and it's eliminating, what is it? Process of elimination is what's coming off the tip of my tongue. So everybody's good. Before we get started with news stories, we've got a great game to play. What's the name of that game again, Chris?
Bad people.
Bad people.
Bad people. And it says it's a game that we shouldn't play. And that's what made me feel that that's the right game for us.
It's
And
not
there's-
safe for work.
And there's one pack of cards in this box, Joy, that says Brutal Pack. And we're going to select a few
you've gone
questions.
through them. You've had
no,
the cards.
I just gazed through them really fast. I didn't look at all of them. I looked at about maybe 10
Okay.
out of like the 50 or so that are in there. So we'll grab a few from this box and then the other one too.
We're going to let you be the card keeper today.
Oh, wow.
How
Okay.
does that sound?
I thought we'd all have like a handful of cards and just take turns asking questions. But that's fine.
I mean, we can go that route, but typically it's like I just feel today that it seems like the right job for you, like the card keeper of
Why,
bad
'cause
people.
Drew's not here.
I don't know. So Drew, we miss you. You're out there.
What's up, Drew?
Everybody say hi to Drew.
Hey, Drew.
It's been so long since we've had a show that Trump's actually his president now.
Do you think he is?
Oh,
Go ahead.
I have to say, Joy.
Yeah.
Since Drew's not here to defend himself, can I tell a quick little story
Please.
about something that happened at your wrestling show last weekend?
Sure, because Drew was with us.
Drew was there,
I wasn't.
and somehow
We missed you. Mm-hmm.
Thank
he and I got talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, the
Caribbean.
movie and the ride,
Right.
and we got into how the ride has changed over the years to be more politically correct. Like they don't have the scene where they're auctioning off the women.
Right.
Right?
The wench isn't the wench gone?
I don't remember.
There's like
It's been a while. But as we're discussing this, he says to me, "Oh, they should have kept it." And I said, "Why is that?" He goes, "Because it's history." And I said, "Oh, kind of like the Confederate statues, huh?"
Oh,
Oh, Drew's
How,
not
where
here.
was I at?
oh.
How did I miss this moment?
Shots fired.
What did he say?
He was like, "Oh, I didn't just say that. Never mind, never mind." And I was like, "Oh, I wish we had recorded this."
Oh, at least you remembered it
I
though.
did
so you
remember
could
it.
tell us.
That was a good one.
That
yeah.
was such a good connection, you know. Finding
Wow,
that
I
correlation.
am gonna call his ass out on that next time I see him.
No, we need to. I really wish that he was here today, only because, the last time that we were together, I'd say that, President Trump has actually, in my opinion, come a long way just in the past few months that we actually all sat together and had a conversation about him. Because typically, we know Drew's stance on President Trump. However,
We need to have a soundbite of Drew saying, "Not my president."
I think I have one. I clipped it off of somewhere, and I can't. Lately, have you guys seen? I've just been making videos and sending you guys stuff. Did you watch the weather guy one I sent the other day with the kid running around? It looked like our set.
Jeez.
Shavonne's like, it was funny, but not funny. And I'm like, the kid looked like Julian, and the guy's doing a live weather broadcast, and this little kid comes running out, right? And he's taunting the weatherman, and finally some guy grabs him
Just
off
grabs
of,
him, takes
just-
him off the scene.
but the kid is like, toot, toot, toot. He's like, fart up in the air. And it was like Julian. So
my
yeah, I
God.
made a video of it and sent it to all of us here.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
But I didn't post it. I was going to post it. But so moving on, like I said, in my opinion, in the opinion of lots of others, but then there's still some with a difference of opinion, I feel that Trump has made some progress over the past couple of weeks. So the U.S. and North Korea, the president announced on this past Thursday that there will be a meeting between him and Kim Jong-Un. The highly anticipated meeting between the two leaders will take place in Singapore on June 12th. This is following the recent release of 3 American prisoners by North Korea. Sorry,
And
guys.
Kim Jong-Un has promised to dismantle all the nuclear...
Yes.
Is it the nuclear warheads before we get there?
He used the term destroy.
He did.
Okay, I heard they're going to be sent to some facility in Tennessee and destroyed there.
Great, we have to bring
That's
it
the
over.
plan.
Well, now that we're going to get to that in just a second, because this could be the reason why he's interested in speaking like peace negotiations and speaking with Donald Trump. So the transfer of Kim Dong-chul, Kim Sang-duk, and Kim Hak-song sets the stage for the high-level talks between Kim Jong-un and President Trump. The president stated, "My proudest achievement will be, and this is part of it, when we denuclearize that entire peninsula. We very much appreciate that Kim allowed them to go before the meeting," speaking of the released prisoners. So here's some video of the 3 released Americans when they arrived on U.S. soil.
Incredible people. They are really, really incredible people. And the fact that we were able to get them out so soon was really a tribute to a lot of things, including a certain process that's taking place right now. And that process is very important. So we will see what happens. We have a meeting scheduled in a very short period of time. You'll be hearing about it soon. We have the location set, and we will see if we can do something that people did not think was going to happen for many, many years, and a lot of bad things could have happened in between. So I just want to say this is a special night for these three really great people, and congratulations on being in this country. Thank you. How does it feel to be home?
정말 반갑고 대단히 행복하게 생각합니다.
It's like a dream, and we are very, very happy.
So now, as of Saturday, North Korea outlined steps to dismantle its nuclear testing site. Their announcement also invited international journalists, including those from the U.S. and the United Kingdom, to watch this month as its tunnels are blown up. So it's a lot going on. We just had last week 3 American prisoners who were held in North Korea released. That was the start of all of this.
And they were released in very, very, very good condition as opposed to Otto Warmbier last year.
Absolutely. And the president, even in the sound clip that we had, even made a statement towards the end advising. Did anybody see the rest of this clip where the president did meet the 3 prisoners coming off of the plane?
Yeah, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then even at the end, he was speaking of how he spoke to Otto's parents, saying that they are great people and that he was a great person. Because it's definitely got to be emotional for them, the way these 3 prisoners came back versus the way their child came back.
Right.
So what really happened there, I don't know in that situation. Of course, in my opinion, when these 3 prisoners were asked at that moment when they did arrive, how they were treated, in my opinion, they have no other choice to say we were treated good. Only because right now of everything that's going on, they really can't, say, hey, we were treated like crap over in North Korea.
Yeah. Well, one of the conditions also Kim Jong-Un is putting forward is, I'm probably not going to use the right phrases, but that he wants security, that we're not going to use this as, an open door to just attack North Korea.
Absolutely.
There's no point in attacking them.
No.
There really isn't.
However, I think about a couple weeks ago when he was meeting with the president of South Korea.
Right.
I kept thinking that I just feel like he's Dr. Evil and he's going to do something really malicious.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt when hearing, and kind of what we're seeing the media that we got to see. Was he going to go over there and be a nice guy? Yeah. We've never seen this from him. We've never.
And why all of a sudden?
Right.
When North Korea was doing the testing with the missiles.
Yes.
And then Trump brought like this complete division of aircraft carriers right to the coast of the peninsula. Mm-hmm. That seemed like it was at that point that if he wanted to eradicate them, he could just push a button and it would have been done. So the intention is not to do that. It's just there's more achievement in diplomacy and trying to get them to surrender their nuclear program.
Right, you're absolutely
so that the nation can prosper.
Now, the word is, the reason why they want to denuclearize is because they're having troubles with, they're actually doing a lot more damage, especially with their last couple of test runs that actually failed on them. So at this point, many are saying that they need help from the U.S. It's at the point now where they've done so much destruction and damage over there, they really have no way out but help from us. So this is them now, coming over to us because they do need our help in this situation. Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel? I mean, it feels good in a peaceful way. At this point, I feel like I can resolve any friendship I have with any enemies. If the U.S. and North Korea can do it, any of us.
That's a good outlook, Joy.
There's hope.
Well, yeah, you could definitely look at it like that.
There are some people, on this planet that I never really, we mutually believe like we can't, it's better for us to live on opposite sides of the planet. Mm-hmm. However, at this point in time, like, I feel there's hope for all of us.
Well, it's true. I mean, we are friends with Japan now, where, you know.
And Germany.
Yeah, exactly. And, look what Japan did to us in Pearl Harbor and what, we attacked Germany during the war also, and now we're all allies. So
right.
there is that possibility, but it's not going to happen
Well,
overnight.
it's evolution too. I mean, you take a look at history, and you see like countries that we were invading or bombing or attacking during a war. We're really cool with now, as far as like economic things and diplomatic things, and like Vietnam, for example, and Japan, like you said, Shavonne. So it's all about the times, well, they keep changing and things happening.
Well, it's amazing. I think it's just amazing at this point in time. I didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Yeah. I think it takes generations, though, to forget completely and move on, because unfortunately, after Pearl Harbor and we became allies with Japan, Japanese Americans were still not treated well for quite a while.
Right.
And even German Americans in the U.S. And hopefully people will be more evolved at this point in our civilization, but maybe not reaching out to Korean Americans that come to, or Koreans that come to the U.S., or people who are Korean American. Hopefully they won't receive the same kind of ill treatment that other nationalities have received in the U.S.
Yeah, I think we're past that. I don't think there would be a problem. But I mean, like,
individuals have not evolved that much.
It's true. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're right. Like I said, to me, it's just such a huge change overnight. Where just a few months ago, we were all sitting here discussing.
We were all holding that nuclear bomb button.
Right. We were sitting here honestly worried, even about our West Coast. Of this little man. Remember Little Rocket Man?
Rocket Man.
Remember just a few months ago, it was Little Rocket Man. Like, we're coming from Little Rocket Man a few months ago, who could, thinking they could possibly destroy our country, to where now we actually have some type of invitation to a meeting of the minds. I guess we can call it.
Yeah. That's good.
I mean, like I said, we have progress, in which I guess it does show a huge sign as far as releasing these 3 prisoners. I think that's helped make me feel more like, do you guys trust Kim Jong-Un? Do you guys?
I don't know. Cautiously.
You have to go into this meeting with trepidation. You can't. You don't know what's going to happen. There's never been a sitting U.S. president who has ever met with a North Korean leader before this.
Exactly.
So I mean, it takes a person like Trump to do this, because he's not a politician. He's a businessman. A politician would have walked up and been like, "Okay, well, we have to do this, and we have to do this,
as we've seen
and
for
all
the past
this."
how many
and
years?
it doesn't
How
work.
many-
We're going to come in with sanctions if you don't do this.
Yep.
Sanctions do not work on anybody.
Yeah.
People laugh when we say that word. It's a funny word.
Well, we
Nobody
put sanctions
takes it
on
serious.
China not too long ago. So.
And Iran too. And nobody gives a rip about sanctions. They don't do anything. They hurt the people of the nation. When they're trying to hurt the government, they hurt the people. So this is going to be a lot different, because there's millions of people in North Korea who are suffering right now, and this is going to be huge for them.
So how much of a, well, first of all, I'm going to wonder, do you think Dennis Rodman will be at this meeting on June 12th?
It is so funny. I was just thinking of him, because my mindset is now Kim Jong-Un. What if he becomes good friends with Donald Trump? And then I'm thinking, like, just look at his friends. Like, you have Dennis, like, it's just only 2 American friends you have on the planet, and it's Donald Trump and Dennis Rodman.
But now everybody's
Both loose
looking.
cannons.
But now everybody's looking at those meetings with Dennis Rodman and Kim Jong-Un from years ago. Now they're seeing it in a different light, because now a president is actually going to sit with him, and they're going to work out some kind of a nuclear agreement and a peace deal, and all sorts of things. And to think that Rodman was sitting with him, drinking some expensive liquor with him,
He's like best friends with him.
and they're best friends. They're
To what
probably
it's
watching.
mean
They're
to
probably
us.
watching Family Guy together and things
Right.
like that. So now this is. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, that's what I want to know is, like, what makes Dennis Rodman like that special American, like, over the
Of
rest
all
of
people.
us?
Of all people, I would have sent like Kevin Owens or
Yes.
something like that.
some
Send a pro
good-
wrestler, an actor. Why not? The WWE's
And
went
Brock
to,
Lesnar.
Wrestling just went to Saudi
Amazing.
Arabia. For
That
God's
was
sake.
that's another milestone.
yeah.
Notice who
We have to
wasn't on the
talk about
card.
that in sports.
Yeah, we'll have to definitely talk about
Notice
that in
who wasn't on the
sports.
card.
Yeah,
Not one female wrestler or announcer.
yeah.
Well, there's a reason for
There-
that.
there's lots of
Exactly. No,
reason.
I
and
know, but it's
There was backlash, and I was offended at first. We're gonna get into that later, about that whole situation, because I don't want to get on it now, because I definitely
No, we got more to talk about. That
We do.
later,
We
so.
definitely have more to talk about. So does anyone else want to add anything to, like I said, can there be peace on Earth? That's the theme of today's show. I mean, we've seen so much. What will happen if we do make peace? Like, will people become more peaceful in this world? Because I just think that's such a huge example.
It has yet to be seen.
You know,
we've never engaged in any sort of conversation with North Korea as far as peace or denuclearization before this historic meeting. So when this takes place, then that question will be able to answer it a lot.
And we're
better.
diving in deep though. We're not even going over there and saying, hey, let's just start a friendship. We're going over there and we're already talking about denuclearizing
because
their country.
Nobody wants to sit there and just talk about planning things like past administrations.
Right.
And I'm not knocking any of them because they're all at fault for not making this happen sooner.
Long overdue,
You know?
right? It's long
and
overdue.
It's both sides because they've been both parties in the White House in the last 50 years.
Right.
We can agree on that. So this guy just comes in, he puts this on his list, on his agenda of things that he's going to accomplish, and he does. So they're going for a massive overhaul in North Korea because nobody should live in an impoverished environment like that.
Right.
There is no way a handful of people live like these supreme
No,
beings,
said,
and then you got millions that live in absolute garbage.
Yeah, well, now that garbage is even more than likely radioactive at this point.
Even worse, we don't even know what they're doing because then there's no nuclear watchdog over there.
No, there's not, and that's going to open up a whole can of worms to damage that has been done. You know, it's really going to open up a lot of things. However, I just think that it's a lot of progress. Did we see this coming? Are you pleased with Donald Trump's presidency so far, Shavonne? Overall. So far with the things that he's done.
Well,
How
our
do you
country
feel about him
hasn't
today?
devolved into civil war, so I'm good.
Right. I know Chris's stance.
I think.
No, you don't.
I think.
Oh, we're gonna get to you next then. Okay.
I think his legacy has yet to be seen. Also.
But do you think that he's made a lot of improvements? I mean, he's come in and done.
I still think he's a loose cannon. I'm always holding my breath about what's he gonna do or say. That
She's taking all the good responses too, by the way.
Sorry, but it's how I feel. You know. I think he's doing okay.
Okay,
here we
I'm
go.
just saying because I always go back to pre-election, how you and I especially were really on the fence.
Yeah, well, okay, as a president, I think he's doing okay. As an individual, I still am like, ugh, yeah, I don't know.
Couldn't you just be a better person?
Yeah, exactly. So as a president, I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Chris.
I'm pleased with what I've seen so far because he went with his agenda. He went with what he sold to the people, and he's going on that list of things, and he's knocking them out one at a time.
Absolutely.
And although many of them aren't 100% complete yet, like eradicating ISIS and completing the wall and doing all the other things, it's the other things that he's done, the jobs, the economy. And it's not just him. It's things that he's implementing, and it's things that Congress and are passing and things that are happening. But this thing is huge. What's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
The 3 prisoners that were released is massive, and no matter what they do, the media will not acknowledge when he does good. Like you'll never hear John Oliver, Trevor Noah, or anybody on CNN say anything about when he does something applaudable.
I agree. I agree. It's been that way. However, I think even after the past week, even with the North Korea situation, I've watched all the media outlets, and some of them actually neutralized, have actually, not been so one-sided as far as against. Now, I mean, you still have people in their opinions.
Everybody.
Online where people are just not happy, to where still what he's doing isn't right,
They're never going to be pleased
that
or
I don't
satisfied.
get. I mean, we're really, in my opinion, it's showing progress. I'm just one of, the same thing, those business type people, we just keep pushing through. And like you said, he's made a list, and he's just going down that list and taking care of business.
When these things are happening, CNN's reporting about Stormy Daniels.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's the personal side that you can get into.
Right, and that is. Now,
But the 50 people, inclooting Mama Metal, that watch CNN will not get accurate. I know, I can't make her not do it.
I know. Sorry,
But
Mama Metal.
those people-
I don't want you to diss her.
I gotta call her out. Those people will not get the facts that they need, whether they come from Fox or MSNBC or Huffington Post or this one or that. They won't get the information. The news is not passed along because we're too busy hearing people's opinions.
Right.
And when things are good that he's doing, we'll never hear about it. They'll just bring dirt about him. back up to the surface.
No, which is a great question because the other day, lots of kids are getting ready to graduate high school and stuff. And I know one senior who's getting ready to graduate, and he had one last project to do. And it was kind of like a social type project, like a sociology type project, and it had to do with the presidency. But the question was, does the president's personal life, should it have an influence on your opinion of him as president? Now, does that, like you said, like with the Stormy Daniels nonsense going on, does that have an effect on your opinion in regards to his presidency or as a person?
Well, I try to separate it because he is a person, and if you look at the record of all of our presidents,
thank you,
all the
because
way
that was my
back.
point.
I mean, modern presidents all the way back to
John F. Kennedy was glamorized for his lifestyle, and that was
a cad.
for sleeping with other
but
women.
even George Washington, you go back to George Washington, and he had love letters that he wrote to some woman who he wasn't married to while he was married to Martha.
Right.
I mean, they're people. They're
Right.
people. They're not.
Well, they were lucky they didn't have Facebook back then and all social
Exactly.
media to rip them up. So.
Right, no, it's true. Yeah, and I just really think it's irrelevant. I think, even
The
the
times were
Stormy
different
Daniels.
back then, but still, I mean, the people are still people. Things
Right.
happen.
I agree. We want to believe that, this man, this person, this figure is a well-rounded individual, even, when it comes to personal life. But then again, at the end of the day, when it comes to presidency, that's his job.
They should be like in an ideal world. They should be above reproach. But at the end of the day, they're people, and they all have pasts that are going to be dug up. And
Yep, no matter what.
Yeah, no
Someone's
matter
mad
who it
at you,
is.
no matter what.
No matter who it is.
Guarantee it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. We're going to see what happens. So I'm sure we'll definitely revisit this story soon after, what did I say? The meeting takes place on June 12th.
in Singapore.
June 12th in Singapore. It's going to be very interesting.
Let's
I'm
go.
excited.
Let's
My
go
fingers
live.
are crossed.
Yeah, let's do a remote from there. There's got to be something in the budget for that.
Like I said, he even invited reporters from the U.S. and the U.K. to go over there and watch the
let's
construction.
go.
Can you imagine if we could get
Of
on
the
that
tunnels.
on Air Force One?
Yeah,
We
right.
get a ride out there, Singapore. Catch
There's
the-
no trending live. We'd be the only journalists
Live.
wanting to go out there to see their
me?
nuclearized.
No, there'll be plenty of press.
Drew would definitely like to come along.
But I just wonder what Drew's opinion is now. Like I said, to me, this is just such a huge step in American history. To me.
I will be happy to speak on Drew's behalf.
Okay, if you're Drew. Drew, how do you feel about President Donald Trump today?
Well, I mean, no matter what, I'm never going to be happy with it because he's not Hillary Clinton. You know what I mean? He's not a
not
Democrat.
Hillary.
So he's not my president. He never will be, Chris.
Not Obama.
I mean, I agree with Metal because he's done so many great things, but I'll never acknowledge them because I'm just loyal to CNN. Like whenever I report the death notices on our chat, it's always from CNN.
Oh!
Let me
I love you, Drew.
verify that right now.
Do you think the Fox News ones are different? The Fox News death notices are different. That was a good one. I'm glad that we got that. You make sure that thing's recording.
I love you, Drew. Sorry, bro.
We love you, Drew. We miss you.
His last one was from Deadline TV, whatever that is.
It's an
CNN
affiliate of CNN.
But that's kind of
Most
ominous.
likely.
The Deadline TV, and he reports a death. Deadline.
It's creepy. I mean, it is, but it's creative.
Yeah, well, that was the last one he posted.
So that's my impression of Drew.
That was a
That
great
was
impression.
Spot on. That was spot on.
Okay, so it was. So our next story is going to be a great starter for the story after. I just want to pull up this video because I want Chris to hear this soundbite that I made. And like I said, we're going to have the video because I just want your reaction. Because I thought, this chick, has anybody heard about this chick over in Arizona? She's actually from Miami, who sent this guy who she met online. She went on, she says 3 dates, he says 1. But she sent him over 65,000 texts, and she's sitting over in jail in Arizona right now. So I got a nice clip because they did a really cool jailhouse interview with her. So she is the man I wish upon all my ex-boyfriends. I want to introduce her. I have lots of men to introduce her to. So maybe, Chris, this may be a winner for you.
Doubtful.
So at 30,
I'm not one of your exes.
I know you're not, but
Don't
I think
put me in
she-
that
no,
dead pool.
Not for you, not one of my exes. I think this one would be just a fun one for you.
God. I would actually throw my phone into a river.
So a 31-year-old Arizona woman is facing a number of charges after one online date led to threatening text messages, constant harassment, and freakish stalking for one Arizona man. Jacqueline Addis was arrested Tuesday on charges of threatening, stalking, and harassment. Sources report that Addis sent the man more than 65,000 text messages, some which threatened violence.
How many were emojis?
Wait till you hear her answer about the text messages. I got that in my clip. Just last month, the victim watched Addis in his home on surveillance video. He called police, and responding officers found the young woman taking a bath in his home. He was actually out of town for business. So allegedly, just as recently as last week, the Paradise Valley woman went to the victim's workplace and claimed to be his wife. Since her arrest, the crazy-in-love woman gave an on-camera interview from jail. Last reports are that she's being held pending a court appearance late this month. So here's a clip from her jailhouse interview.
Wait. Is this California, did you say?
Arizona.
I met him online. I was looking for my healing angel. The psychic I met told me I would meet a healing angel.
Break into his home?
I'd rather not talk about those things.
What about the text messages?
I'd rather not talk about this.
You said that you met him online.
Yeah.
What site did you meet him on?
Luxie.
What kind of site is that?
Oh, like the most shallow one ever, where the rich men meet the pretty girls.
Why did you text him 65,000 times?
Because it made me find out all my information. Loving him selflessly brought this information because everybody just wants to take. But if you just give and you don't stop giving, even if you don't receive, you all of a sudden receive a lot.
You said, did you go on one date with him?
3.
3 dates. Can you talk about how you felt when you were with him? Did you feel a spark immediately? Talk about how you felt.
I felt like I met my soulmate and everything was just the way it was. And I thought we would just do what everybody else did and we would just like get married and everything would be fine, but that's not what happened.
65,000 text messages. That's like
That's
next
it?
level stuff.
No, to me it seemed like more. I'm the person that discovered love. When you're finding love, not everything is perfect. This was a journey.
When the reporter asks her about the 65,000 texts, she said, 65,000? That's it? I thought there were more.
Let me just say, first of all, I don't think what she did was right. But I think we've all been there where we've been scorned, and who knows what kinds of lines this guy fed to her on their date. But I think we've all been there where we feel like we want to do something a little crazy when you are like scorned or been slighted or something, but that's a little extreme.
She did. I like though how she was just like I said, it was her psychic advisor that told her she would meet her man, and she really thought this was him. She actually traveled from Miami and went to Arizona to find this spiritual person that she was supposed to. She's really, she is really out there. And she, like I said, but would you go into the man's house? He's away on international business and be in his house taking a bath?
That's totally crossing. I mean, the 65,000 texts is crossing the line, and that is just beyond the line.
Right.
Going into his house.
I mean, I'll sound like 6,500, but not. Chris.
You're very
That's
quiet
way
over
too
there.
much. No, I'm waiting until I can jump in.
Have you ever dealt with a woman like this?
Not 65,000, but yeah.
But like an obsessive stalker type. What's it like for a guy?
Not stalker, but like just a hemorrhoid or a pain in the ass.
Like how? Like how is a girl? Because you know why we sit here wondering if we're a pain in the ass, but we're not sure. So now you tell us. So what happens? You break up with the girl. What? You're trying to get rid of her, and then how did my screen just crack?
There's no.
Go ahead.
There's no nice way to say get the F away from me. You know what I mean? There's no like you would just be. You've been nice and you're tired of being nice because nice doesn't get the message across. So you use colorful metaphors and phrases and all sorts of things like that, and they still don't get the message. So they bombard you with text messages and emails and phone calls and this and that. and it's just you can't get away from it.
Hopefully you're being honest, and hopefully you've dealt with a breakup in a gentlemanly, upfront way. But I know not all guys are like that.
I tried to be nice at first, but
Okay.
you know, sometimes it doesn't work. You know, other times it did.
But
you know.
and I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying sometimes guys
Shavonne's
are
not
not.
accusing you.
No, I'm not, because I don't want Chris to think I'm accusing him of anything.
don't.
I'm just saying that some guys out there think that they're getting their message across and being nice when really they just need to be direct. You know, like, this is not going to work out. I'm not interested. And sometimes guys will ghost on you, and that's not really a cool thing either. I hope that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping you have dealt with it in a gentlemanly, respectful way. Because not all guys do.
No, you have to, because you don't want that to be the lasting memory of how things, like, you know, fell apart. Was someone being like aggressive and angry and mean, and it wasn't nice. It was really went out of his way to be insulting, or what have you. You know what I mean? So I would definitely try to handle it, you know, the way that it's supposed to be. But you know, some people are just really impossible. And you try to be nice. You go to that extreme, but then they just, you know, it just puts you over the line. You know what I mean?
This woman definitely sounds like an extreme case.
This is an extreme case. I mean, anything over 100 texts in a day from one person, anything over 50, that's a little extreme. You know,
I agree. Right, exactly.
That's too much.
And
so 65,000 is just, come on, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Even if like 37,000 of them were just one emoji or a meme or something like that, or a GIF or GIF, whatever they call them. But I imagine a lot of these texts were written out things that she, like, you know, had typed out. So
Why don't you love me?
Some were considered threatening messages. However, in her interview, like when a reporter would ask her, you know, about these messages that they did sound threatening the gentleman with violence, she refused to answer. She didn't want to speak anything about it.
Of course not.
And it's just that she was in love. See, I wouldn't go as far to telling anybody I'd kill them or anything. Like, I don't wish death upon you. I'm just like, I hate you if you die. I mean, like, we'll just see each other in the next life. You understand? Like, that's how.
Were we supposed to take a break?
Yeah, a long time
I
ago.
put the hands up.
He cued you.
Oh, I apologize. My computer screen
hours
broke.
ago.
Do you see my computer
Yeah, we're going
broke?
to check on that
Yeah,
during our
insurance
break.
I don't know. So let's go ahead and we'll take a short break. So when we come back, wedding bells. The royal wedding is coming this week. We've got Kilauea to speak about, and we've got, what's our game called, Chris?
Bad people.
Wow, that sounded like Shavonne.
We'll be playing Bad People, so make sure you stay tuned and stay right here with us. We'll be back in the next couple minutes.
I'm gonna have fun, and you're gonna have fun. We're all gonna have so much fun we'll need plastic surgery to remove our bowels.
Welcome back, everybody.
So the royal nuptials between Britain's Prince Henry and American
Harry.
Actually, you know what? It actually is Harry. How? No, actually, it's not. He's actually, his legal name is Henry.
Henry.
Yes, his legal name is Henry, but he goes by Prince Harry.
I'm gonna
Even
look
if
this
she,
up.
yeah, how much you want to bet? $20.
I'm not betting, but I just want to verify.
Please
your
do.
facts.
So the royal nuptials between Britons, it's actually, yes, he is AKA Prince Harry. But his legal name is Henry. I guess that's why I wrote Henry. And American Meghan Markle are set to take place this Saturday, May 19th at St. George's Chapel. And that'll be at Windsor Castle at 12 noon. Some facts about this royal wedding. There'll be 600 guests that are expected to be invited to the wedding. There is 2,640 people who are invited onto castle grounds to see the wedding party arrive. There'll also be a 45-minute Church of England baptism service for Meghan Markle. Prince Harry was also baptized in St. George's Chapel in December of 1984. There'll be 2 receptions. The couple will receive all their guests at the first reception, which will be at St. George's Hall. The second reception is a more intimate after party for roughly 200 guests and will be hosted by Prince Charles. Last but not least, according to London-based luxury wedding planner, excluding security, the estimated cost of this royal wedding is around, how much do you guys think?
A couple million.
I really don't care.
Only $670,000.
Oh, what a steal.
That's not bad.
U.S. dollars.
Pounds? Oh, U.S.
No, U.S. $670,000 U.S. dollars. I can't believe you guys aren't excited.
Wait,
about
do you really care about this?
Yes.
I do not. I love them all, and I respect the family and the monarchy and the history, but I don't care when there's so many things that need to be fixed and worked on in their country alone, and our country, and around the world, that people spend a lot of time on this. It's like the Kardashians and all that.
Do you see it like the Kardashians like that?
Too much. I don't think that. I was just talking to a celebrity hip-hop artist. I'll say his name off the air. And he and his party had mentioned a person's name, and I'm like, who? I'm sorry. And they're like, they're with the Kardashians. Don't you know? I'm like, no, I don't.
Right.
So certain people are glued into this one vision of what's going on in the world, while the other 99.5% of us are tuned into what's going on in the world as far as like bad things. These people are oblivious to it. So this is sort of falls into that similar area where it's not going to affect me either way, because my life is still going to go on. I wasn't invited personally, so why would I tune in?
I think it's just exciting. I mean, yeah, I'm well in tuned with everything that's going on in the world, but I think for me, I don't know why, like, I guess maybe my grandmother also always, we watched Princess Diana get married. That was like very exciting as a child. It's a whole big drawn out. It's just one exciting day. We don't get to see it every day.
You know what this is like? This is like being invited to a wedding of the couple you don't know them.
Yes.
You're going as a date of somebody who knows them.
I don't know Meghan Markle, but I know Prince Harry.
But my point
I don't know him personally,
simple.
but
they don't know you, Joy.
Yes,
Prince Harry knows me.
I've gone to several.
I threw my bra at him at a concert.
What?
I've gone to several weddings where I don't know the party because I'm friends with somebody or dating somebody who's friends with the bride or whatever it was. And
kind of like a wedding crasher?
More or less, because all I did was eat and drink.
And
I signed the card.
And did you mingle though? Do you
Barely,
mingle like
barely.
with everybody?
People asked me about stocks and portfolios,
Ugh.
and I said honestly, I usually laugh at people like you.
We should crash a wedding.
Let me
no,
just
but
say,
then I said we're at a wedding, and you guys want to talk business. You got to be kidding me. What was your focus?
When's your cousin's wedding?
Same day. Let me just say on
Shoot,
that
there's
note.
a wrestling show, because I'd say I'd pay for us now to go over there. I want to crash your cousin's
on that
wedding.
same note, let me just say I don't get excited about hardly anyone's wedding. The last wedding I got excited about was my best friend who does live in California, just because I know her whole story.
She's your friend too.
Well, and like it was just a nice story, and I love her, and I care about her happiness, and da 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 da. But for the most part, I don't get excited about other people's weddings. I really just,
Especially people you don't know.
And you mentioned my cousin's getting married on the same day. I'm not going to that, and I'm happy for her, but that's kind of where my excitement ends for that wedding.
But wouldn't there be more excitement like if we crashed it? Like if that type of intention.
Can you crash a wedding of people you actually know that you've been invited to?
Imagine bringing me along with you.
Oh, that would get a lot of stories started in my family. No wonder Shavonne's still single and not married.
Oh, I am
Shots
gonna cry, Shavonne. I thought we were friends. So, like, we didn't even start playing the game that breaks friends apart.
I have the best question to lead out with too, by the way.
But so this is why, on a whole level, I don't care what the name of the horses are that are going to be pulling the wedding carriage.
I agree with that. I just think that the whole process, I think because it's so different than how we do, so you know what I feel like in the US, we have no type of traditions. We have no type of ceremonial type historic traditions.
No,
that,
they're all being torn down one by one.
You know, it's true though. But you look at other countries, and they have just these different types of tradition, even when it comes to royalty. You know, so I guess it's just something out of the norm. You know, it's not something that we see every day.
But
so I guess it's just something that
even
I
going
appreciate,
beyond,
even just for the day.
It's definitely
brings
a
me
thrill.
joy.
It's definitely a thrill if you're involved.
even going beyond the wedding.
I wouldn't even want to be involved. Sorry to interrupt you, but I wouldn't even want to be involved because it seems too exhausting. I'd rather be at home watching and enjoying it from there. Go ahead.
But the whole idea of the royal family in this day and age, they're just like figureheads. They have really no authority, you know.
Right.
And like Chris said, the history is cool and everything, but at this point they just are kind of like equated with Yankee Doodle Dandy and Uncle Sam in America.
Listen, okay, one of the colonels last night did an interview who's actually getting part of the procession ready for the wedding. Do you know what he called Meghan Markle? But okay, and see, I even had a nice little slide for British slang.
Well, you can throw that in.
I am. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in. But he called her a cracker with Yankee ways. That's what he said. But he meant it in a nice way.
Okay.
Like, if he were to say that here, but he's just like, she's a cracker with a Yankee way. Like, it was just...
Whatever.
And we were looking at the TV like, did he say that? But over there, it's totally like...
I was a little interested in Prince William's wedding only because he was getting married at Westminster Abbey, which I have been to.
Right.
And so I tuned in to watch that just so I can be like, oh, I've been there.
Right.
And that was pretty much the extent of it.
Right. It doesn't even seem odd though, like even Prince Henry's marrying an American, anything like that.
Well, it's not the first time it happened. Grace Kelly, was an American actress and married into the royal family.
Right.
So it's not like it's a first.
So then you're saying that there's maybe hope for us.
Are you an American actress?
Somewhat. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris, for that vote of confidence.
No problem.
Shavonne, do you have some news for us?
I have some news, yes. Let's start with something, well, I was going to say something sad and we'll move to something happy, but I think all the bad things, I don't have any happy news.
How about my computer broke and I'm not even upset here, right? Am I handling it fine?
It just broke. You'll freak out off the air later.
I'll freak out once the guy tells me how much it's going to be to fix it.
How do you know it's going to be a guy?
Oh.
You're right.
Wow.
I'm proud of you for sticking up for women. For what? Chris,
For
thank
once?
you.
She almost said
Thank
for
you.
once.
Thank you.
For once, right? Come on.
Thank you. I love
Okay,
you, man.
here we
Today I
go.
love you extra. I like you up in Palm Beach. I like the Palm Beach Chris medal.
No way.
Yeah, I'm picturing him with like a sweater tied around his neck and some
Forget it.
golf shorts.
Yeah, with your Foo Fighter shirt. We can make it work.
Okay,
Never happened.
At least 52 Palestinians have been killed and 2,400 wounded by Israeli troops, Palestinian officials say, on the deadliest day of violence, which is today, since the 2014 Gaza war. Palestinians have been protesting for weeks, but deaths soared on the day the U.S. opened its embassy in Jerusalem. Palestinians see this as clear U.S. backing for Israeli rule over the whole city, whose eastern part they claim. But U.S. President Donald Trump hailed the move in a video message, saying Israel is a sovereign nation with the right to determine its own capital, but for many years we failed to acknowledge the obvious. So that's what's going on in the Gaza Strip today. And, kind of not to overlook the actions that caused it was the U.S. opening an embassy in that part of the world. So, any thoughts about this? Are we happy about this? Our embassy opening, and should it not be happening? I feel like I don't know enough to really make a informed decision one way or the other. But what gets me, okay, this is where my brain goes. Like, we just opened an embassy like overnight, and I would have thought it would have taken months for them to actually have to build a building there.
There might have been an existing structure there already.
Apparently there was. So, Chris, this is an article you can trust because it's not coming from CNN. It's the BBC.
Well, Drew doesn't want to hear that.
And let me just outline why. They ask, why is the embassy move so controversial? And they say, the status of Jerusalem goes to the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Can the settlement issue be solved. The alternatives to a two-state solution, those are different links you could click on in this story, but they go on to say, Israeli sovereignty over Jerusalem is not recognized internationally, and according to the 1993 Israel-Palestinian peace accords, the final status of Jerusalem is meant to be discussed in the latter stages of peace talks, which, as we know, keep going nowhere. Israel has occupied East Jerusalem since the 1967 Middle East War. It effectively annexed the sector, though this was not recognized by any countries until Mr. Trump's declaration in December of 2017. So once again, President Trump making moves that no other president has done before him.
Which you will never hear about on CNN.
Right.
So since 1967, Israel has built a dozen settlements, home to about 200,000 Jews in East Jerusalem. These are considered illegal under international law, although Israel disputes that,
Right.
of course.
Right.
So various countries once had embassies based in Jerusalem, but many moved after Israel passed a law in 1980, formally making Jerusalem its capital. So it's kind of like nobody wants to touch this area.
Nobody wants politics in the Holy Land, and that's
true.
what this boils down to.
Right.
Because that land, that holy land, you could go there and be in the middle of it, and there's 3 different religions
There
that
are.
are present there.
It's
Absolutely.
true.
And they all get along. No one's bombing each other. There's
You're
no
absolutely
guns
right. Thank you.
and things like that.
Until
So
things like
is
this
just,
happen.
This is the only way some people think they can get their message across is by protests and violence and stir up things like this, like the crazy things going on. Where if you could just sit down with your opposition and talk it out and come to an agreement somehow and fix it. And only then will this get figured out. Until then, there's going to be this conflict when they took over that section and they annexed it and everything all those years ago.
Right.
And again, they're the only ally that the U.S. has in that region. And everybody are surrounding Israel wants to eradicate them from existence. And they have to constantly defend their homeland every day. So.
Well, I mean, it's biblical, you know. The
That's what
Israelites
all these wars are about, religion.
have fought for their land since the beginning of time, and it's still going on.
It is, right.
If you go under Jerusalem, you're going to see old Jerusalem. You go under there, you're going to see another old Jerusalem because they just build over it. You know,
Yep.
the history is kept underground. You can watch all those shows on the History Channel and Science Channel and find out the history of that region and why everybody in that area is at peace. And then everywhere else, there's conflict.
Another new volcanic fissure has formed as the Kilauea volcano on Hawaii's Big Island continues to erupt, and lava from another fissure is carving a channel toward the ocean. We all know that. Is this the same volcano that was erupting a few weeks ago?
Yes.
It's causing all the fissures.
It started May 3rd.
Just different cracks in the ground in different areas.
And that's what makes this volcano eruption totally different from any other eruption in history.
The new eruption was reported Monday in the Lanupuna Gardens subdivision, an area that has already been evacuated. Civil defense officials warn of volcanic gas emissions and active eruptions with this new fissure. That just seems scary to me, like these gas emissions that you can't see and probably have like no smell, so you don't even know, like get out of there. A separate fissure is still active after it formed on Sunday. The Hawaiian Volcano Observatory says a lava flow has now formed and is slowly moving toward the ocean, which is about 2 miles away. No homes or roadways are threatened by this flow. Kilauea began erupting on May 3rd. Since then, fissures have been generated mostly in Leilana Estates subdivision, where nearly 2,000 residents were ordered to evacuate. Lava has destroyed more than 40 structures, including 24 homes. And just because, and we all know from dealing with hurricanes, even though you're ordered to evacuate, you know, there are some hangers-on.
Yes, yes.
Geologists warn that Kilauea's summit could have an explosive steam eruption that would hurl huge rocks and ash miles into the sky. And I read, here, let me read.
Rocks the size of refrigerators.
Oh, lovely.
Wow.
Yes.
And then I have another report that says the Hawaii National Guard is prepared to use ground convoys and even helicopters if necessary to pluck residents from an isolated southeast corner of Hawaii's Big Island. So they're prepared for those hangers-on that are not evacuating. I mean, just looking at some of these videos, it's crazy. I mean, it just looks like apocalyptic, like fire rolling down the street.
No,
towards
it is.
you.
Yeah, and we have like video footage to go with your story as well. And the difference between this volcano, it's not like how we typically envision volcanoes to where the lava, goes up and it comes down the side, of the mountain.
This is just coming out of the ground.
In this case, there's cracks opening up in the ground, just big long cracks just opening up, filling up with lava, and it's crazy. The last time now this volcano, I'm gonna say hurricane. The last time this volcano did erupt was back in January 3rd of 1983, and the eruption actually lasted almost 90 days.
Wow. I have this one update to a story from 4 years ago. If you'll remember, back in March of 2014, Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 disappeared.
Yes.
We know it probably crashed, but like very little wreckage was found or any bodies. And I always had the imagination of maybe it was like a lost situation. They started a whole civilization on some fantastical island or
My
something.
theory is they landed in some hangar somewhere, and they're all prisoners.
Maybe. But a new investigation is saying that...
Is Chris right? Tell us.
No, based on...
I like his theory.
On 60 Minutes Australia, they have brought together an international group of aviation experts who say that the disappearance of MH370 was a criminal act by veteran pilot Captain Zahiri Ahmad Shah, who was flying the plane that day, and likely it was a mass murder-suicide situation.
Could be.
What gives them that idea?
Well, you have to watch 60 Minutes Australia. But pilot and instructor reconstructed the flight plan based on military radar and says Captain Shah flew along the border of Malaysia and Thailand, crossing in and out of each country's airspace to avoid detection. So it was deliberate, in his opinion. He says it did the job because we know as a fact that the military did not come and intercept the aircraft. Hardy also made a strange discovery. Captain Shah likely dipped the plane's wing over Penang, which was his hometown. Why did he want someone to look outside Penang? Asked reporter Tara Brown, and he says it might be a long emotional goodbye or a short emotional goodbye. Again, they're just speculating, but this is kind of a new theory that perhaps it was deliberate, murder-suicide kind of situation, which is really kind of one of my biggest fears getting on a plane. I'm always asking the pilot, hey, how's your day? Please tell me
Shavonne comes with cookies.
You're in a good mood, I hope.
Shavonne comes with a big fruit basket.
Olive branch.
And his family, of course, is saying, pointing a finger towards him does not make them expert investigators. They have to find the plane.
Yep.
Yes, because as Chris said, the plane is probably in some hangar. I mean, what if he sold these people? What if this guy, this pilot, had some deal and he sold all these people? He probably got $100 a head, right? And he's living
probably more than that.
over there. $100 goes a long way. I'm sure you're probably royalty. But it's like, how we can take pictures from space? Like they can take a picture of our cars from space.
Mm-hmm.
How can
How
we
did
not
they
find
lose an
that
airplane? I don't know.
There's many theories, as we've all said, and when this first happened, this theory that I just said was brought up, and it made me think about it. It's quite possible.
I've never heard that theory.
That a plane could be held for ransom like that. A plane could be landed in some kind of hangar somewhere, some Cold War hangar in some remote place, and the passengers can be offloaded and dealt with depending on what's going on. So since they didn't find as much as a tire or a wing or a chair, it makes you think that the plane may still be intact, because if it did hit the water and
something
go up to a billion pieces, it'd be surfaced. After everything sinks, things would come up to the surface, and we haven't found a suitcase or a laptop or a cell phone or anything.
Yeah, there was very little debris.
And it makes you
I think didn't they find like just a part or two little parts of the plane actually, but they don't know if it was actually from that plane
or it could have just been debris.
Else?
They thought it was
check
debris.
The serial numbers on the thing,
and I don't even think they had it. Yeah.
The equipment that they have, but to not find even one hat or a wallet from anybody makes me think that everybody survived somehow and they are somewhere.
It's interesting. Hey, that's the lost theory.
There's not even a suitcase. There's just not one thing, and to not be able to pick up all, like I said, all the satellite imagery that we have, the systems.
Yeah. Who knows?
Drew, if I could speak on Drew's behalf, he
Go
would
ahead,
say
Drew.
that this is a conspiracy by somebody, and that's why we don't have any footage. Although footage does exist, we don't have any.
It's a whole Amelia Earhart situation.
That and
we
you
may
know,
never
all
know.
sorts of Area 51 stuff.
And now, I mean, they're finding even more evidence as far as like the Amelia Earhart story, to where it's just everything's even totally different now. Thank you, Shavonne. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Make sure you stay tuned with us right here on Now Trending Live. And we're back to Now Trending Live. So we've got some sports to discuss. Chris Metal, what do you got for us in sports?
I'm going to talk playoffs right now because we have the conference finals in both the NHL and the NBA, as both of you go to your phones and tablets. So I'm going to
No, I was reading that next story, one of the stories we
joking.
discussed.
I'm just joking. I'll go with the NHL first, and we have the Washington Capitals have a surprising two games to none lead over the Tampa Bay Lightning. I originally called the Lightning to win the Eastern Conference way back when, and they suddenly find themselves in an 0-2 hole against a team that really is good, but underachieved at many seasons up until this point. So I think it's still going to go 7 games. I don't know who's going to win now because the Capitals suddenly figured out how to play beyond the first round of the playoffs. So on the Western side, we have the Vegas Golden Knights and the Winnipeg Jets. It's the first time an expansion team in any sport has made it this far into the playoffs. Never mind winning the division and doing all these other historic things along the way.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And Vegas has lost game 1 4-2 to Winnipeg. I believe game 2 is tonight. So you're going to see game 2. And I think that series is going to go 6 or 7, and I picked Vegas. So I picked Vegas and Tampa to be in the Stanley Cup Finals months ago. And it's possible. But the other two teams are playing incredible hockey, and they've overachieved to this point. So it could go in any direction. It really could.
You say Vegas, and who are you calling for the
Tampa.
finals? And Tampa. Oh, okay.
But
we shall see.
But the other teams have leads in the series already.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens with that. I'm tuned. I love playoff hockey. There's nothing like it. Whether you're a fan or not, it's absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
And now in the NBA, we have the conference finals on the basketball court on the Eastern Conference. The Boston Celtics have a 1-0 series lead against the Cleveland Cavaliers after blowing them out by 25 points Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
Very amazing. I think Cleveland's playing possum, and they're going to attack in the next 3 games and change the series. We'll see how it goes. This is something that the game is psychological. And if you give them, something to pump their fists and their chests about, the Celtics will come in the game like cocky and, arrogant, and then Cleveland will run the table on them. On the other hand, I think Boston's the better team, and I think they're playing up to their potential given the injuries they have. They're doing all this without 2 of their main guys. So I think they have something they want to prove here. Nobody wants to see Golden State and Cleveland in the NBA Finals for a 4th year in a row. I think I could speak for the majority of sports fans who are tired of seeing the same 2 teams. Now, you could see one team, like I'll use the Patriots as an example. You see them in the Super Bowl all the time because they're tough to beat leading up to the Super Bowl, but they can be beaten once they're in.
Right.
So the opponent will change. But for the NBA, the opponents are not changing.
Right.
So I would like to see the Boston Celtics win this series, and I'd like to see the Houston Rockets win their series against the Golden State Warriors. However, that one is much more of a long shot, even though Houston's really, really good, and they've built their team to beat Golden State. This is still going to be a tough series, and Golden State, everybody's healthy, and playing at their absolute highest potential so far. So I believe that series starts tonight, game 1, and it's going to be exciting. I'm not going to watch it. I'll watch the fourth quarter because I'm not into NBA drama, to be honest with you.
Right.
But I've been a Celtics fan since I was a kid. But I've lost interest in it over the years because when Larry Bird retired, I kind of stopped watching. Didn't care anymore. But when they play well, I pay attention. I always kind of read up on them and things like that. So it's going to be exciting to see them. Hopefully they can knock off LeBron because I'm tired of hearing about him. Yeah, he's the best. Okay, great. I'm tired of hearing about him. I'm tired of his press conferences. And, he brings race into the game, which I'm not a fan of.
I agree. And I think even a lot of his stands are things that he wants to try to speak up for.
Right.
I just think he's out of place sometimes.
He uses his platform. Why don't you do that on a Tuesday afternoon?
Right. Sometimes, but he just doesn't make sense at all.
And of course, the younger people in the league are worshiping him, so they follow along. So I'm not crazy about that. You can be an advocate for that, and that's great. Not during the game and not before the game.
Right.
I don't want to hear it. Play basketball. Shut your mouth. Play basketball.
I agree. I think we're all tired of the mixture of politics and sports, the combination.
Yeah. Major League Baseball is Major League Baseball. It's a long season.
It's still early.
The Yankees and the Red Sox have the best records in the league at the moment. They're tied for first place. It's going to be it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. As we get further into the season, I don't think we've even hit the quarter mark yet. So, let's see what happens. There's injuries. There's underachievers. There's overachievers. Marlins are struggling. Again, we know where everything started in their demise. So, good luck to them. We'll see what happens. If you want to go with wrestling, we could talk some wrestling in the sports segment, or
Can we get to the breaking news first?
We can get to the breaking news about there is a decision being made on sports gambling. Shavonne,
yes, I'll read this ESPN article. The Supreme Court struck down a federal law that prohibits sports gambling today in a landmark decision that gives states the go-ahead to legalize betting on sports.
Is the fat guy we've been talking about all day, Tubby Toot, actually gaining on the Ethiopians here in the final stretch.
Is this the fat guy who put the money on?
$20 at 8,000 to 1.
The court ruled 6-3 to strike down the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, which is a 1992 law that barred state-authorized sports gambling with some exceptions. That made Nevada the only state where a person could wager on the results of a single game. Now, states that want to offer legal sports betting may now do so, and New Jersey plans to be the first. Delaware, Mississippi, New York, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia are among the states expected to quickly get into the legal bookmaking game. Are you going to jump on this one?
Well, you had to imagine that New Jersey had a program already lined up waiting for this day to take place. That's why they're already ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
They're probably going to open up a shop tomorrow morning.
On the
let's
Atlantic.
be realistic. You know what I mean?
Well, they're opening up. They're reopening the Taj Mahal again. They're opening up two
now,
casinos.
yeah, but
I mean, I know those are casinos, but it's all going to go hand in hand, with that.
It's convenient.
Well, Atlantic City has really been struggling, so maybe this will help them.
For the last 15 years.
Yeah, maybe this will really give it a boost.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm all for it. I'm not much of a gambler, but if I feel like throwing a bet down, I feel like I should be able to do it legally.
We can play the lottery. Why not, bet on some sports?
We bet on horses, greyhounds, stuff like that. So
it's we could bet on the sun coming up tomorrow, and some idiot will take the bet. So that's it. You know what I mean?
Shall I read the quote from Governor Chris Christie?
Sure.
Please.
He tweeted in Trump fashion. No. A great day for the rights of states and their people to make their own decisions. New Jersey citizens wanted sports gambling and the federal government had no right to tell them no. The Supreme Court agrees with us today. I am proud to have fought for the rights of the people of New Jersey. So he was apparently for
And he kept the bridges open during the whole thing.
Oh, wow. Good job.
You should put Jabba the Hutt's laugh when she said, and this is what Chris Christie had to say. Hoo, 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 hoo. And then the quote.
Thank you. Well, at least
Since
we
you're
have.
editing.
Since you're making a note of it, thank you. I'll remember.
Or something like a talking head or something crazy like Charlie Brown teacher voice. Yeah.
So go ahead with your wrestling in the Middle East.
Well, we had.
It was the greatest Royal Rumble.
Yep, and that was super exciting to watch that and see history being made. Although I wouldn't have taken the trip, I would have stayed behind. on these shores.
I think a lot of Americans did that. I think a lot. Vince McMahon got paid a lot of money for that show.
Because he got in on the ground level of what's going to be a massive sports complex thing going on in Saudi Arabia as far as like an entertainment district.
Yes.
And he's going to have his hands on it, a big part of it. So he went into a partnership with something out there, and it's lucrative for WWE or Titan Sports or whatever they call themselves. You know, so I'm happy for them. It's great to see history being made. I'm not sure I would have done it.
Right. Now, that's what we're going to go to, because there's been some scrutiny due to the fact that no women, no WWE women were allowed to perform, were allowed to be at certain events. Now, the women were there. They were backstage. They weren't allowed to come out. However, I heard at the end of the show, a couple of them did. There was also scrutiny. When you watched it, did you see the commercial, the one commercial they have where they're singing in the studios and Sasha Banks is like in her... Banks is in her two-piece and stuff. So, I mean, did you hear that story to where they weren't supposed to even play that commercial even during the broadcast? So there was controversy in regards to the WWE Network actually playing that commercial during the show. They played it during the middle, and it was funny because when they played it, I was even in shock. I was like, I actually wasn't in shock. It made me more, I want to say, like, welcomed to their, at first as a woman, and especially doing a lot in this industry, in the wrestling industry, like working a lot and seeing the women that I do see, and the way that women give to this industry. Women give a lot to the wrestling industry. So for that morning to wake up and be a reality to where it kind of felt like women were excluded. That's how, in my brain, before the show started, that's how I kind of felt until... I didn't even want to watch it at first, but again, I live in a wrestling household, so everybody, there was no escaping it. It's on every household. It's must-see TV. It's must-watch. But then when I watched and you see the audience was full of women, the audience did have women in it. It did have kids that were girls. So it made it a little more inviting. But is it a good move for the WWE as far as in the U.S. with their sponsors? Because over here they have such a big movement to push women and women's rights to where now we're backtracking over there.
As far as pushing women's rights, I agree with you. But look at the way they're doing it, the way they're showcasing these women in these outfits with these boobs hanging out and these things. And they're promoting the sexual nature of it, or the gender, but that part of the gender aspect. Making Paige the GM on SmackDown, great. Awesome. Cool. Great idea.
Do you see any athleticism, though, in the women in the WWE, or do you just see them as sex symbols?
They're very athletic, but then again, let's remember, it's sports entertainment. It's all scripted. It's produced. It's choreographed. In reality, can they do these things? Probably. They really could. I mean, Ronda Rousey's making the transition from UFC or MMA
and that's
to
not
this.
An easy transition.
No, it's
not an easy transition. And I was going to discuss that with you like later on, because before you know it, I'm talking like next year we'll probably have Conor McGregor crossing over.
Gets out of jail.
You know, but go ahead. But like I was saying, though, as a male, when these women come out, like now Ronda Rousey, she is an athlete. You know, coming in here to where, like I said, it's definitely, I think, more of a challenge for like a Ronda Rousey, for someone in the UFC crossing over to WWE, because these people are actual fighters, not entertainers. I mean, they are entertainers, but in a sense, you know, she went through a lot of acting classes.
And she still has a long way to go with that.
She still has a long way to go.
She's not very strong on the mic. Her promos aren't very good.
And that's what we look for.
And her wrestling prowess is definitely needs to be crafted a little better. She needs to be polished a little more.
Right.
When she put Triple H to the table, he missed the target landing area, and you could do severe damage to things, you know, because of where the table was set up. And then when she was like making Stephanie McMahon tap, she was probably a little more violent than she needed to be when she gave.
Was the armbar?
And when she gave her the Samoa drop, she didn't land it right. You know what I mean? So she doesn't know how to land these moves, and she could do really a lot of damage in reality to some of these people. And I don't see the point. They didn't need to bring her in.
Right.
It's cool, and she needed something because the paychecks probably stopped coming in.
Right.
Although she's made movie appearances, those paychecks stopped coming in after a while. So I hope she does well. The fans love it. And the WWE thinks it's a big thing. I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah, she's not going to be around for a while. She's not, I mean, for a long time.
I don't think she's going to do this very long.
She's not going to do it for a long time. She said, like, this is just basically one of her stops. I was watching her interview, like, once they had her first appearance.
Yep.
And she gave lots of interviews the next morning with ESPN, Fox News, to where she said, like, this is basically her last step before she just is recently married. But her last step before going into, like, motherhood.
Yeah, and do it now because you're never going to be in this shape in your life ever again.
Right.
You're
well,
not
she thinks
be,
she is. She thinks that she's going to have babies and come back.
She'll maintain for a long time.
I just don't.
But eventually it will fall off like it has for every superstar.
Right.
And then you can't go out there anymore like Hogan going out there in the NWO and stuff. He just looked like, so old. And Ric Flair just looked so old. They just carried it on for way too long.
Do you feel that way about The Undertaker?
He's getting to that point, but
Right.
they're not parading him out every week like a show horse.
They're not every week, but lately it's been every big pay-per-view.
The
They're
match,
kind
the
of.
match
and I
with
think,
Rusev, the casket match, was very impressive. I liked it very much.
Right.
They didn't give him a tombstone because he's too big, so they gave it to Aiden English because he's a toothpick.
Yeah.
So, but they gave him a choke slam to Rusev, which I thought was great. And they brought the casket match back. We hadn't seen a casket match in over a decade.
Right.
So it was great. He's not going to be wrestling full time. He'll be behind the scenes full time, I think, bringing a lot of these newcomers along and trying to teach them agility.
I agree, but
and
he's got
respect.
health problems. He
does, but
really
he's
has.
also had hip replacement surgery.
Right.
He's probably had a knee replacement, and he's in the
Even when
gym.
he walks, though, when he's coming down to the ring,
But
he's
that's
just
part of his thing, and that's fine because if anybody can mask it, he can. But he look at the match he had at WrestleMania with John Cena. It was 3 minutes.
Yeah.
That was it. I wanted to see it so bad. I thought he was going to come out on the bike with Kid Rock playing the song because Kid Rock was there and everything. That didn't. That was Kenny from Blockbuster came up with that idea. My wrestling guy on the show, and it didn't happen. And I like what they're doing, but I think it's a little too much now.
Right.
Maybe I'm looking at my own mortality and looking at when he came in, how old I was. I was 12. I'm 40 now. So that's 28 years of what he's been doing.
Right.
It doesn't get tiring because the fans still love it, but
They do, but it takes a lot on the
takes
body.
a big toll on him as a human being. He can't land those old school moves. He can't walk the ropes, even though he does.
Yeah.
It's not the same, and it's
it's so hard for these guys to accept that.
But that's why even Jeff Hardy too. He's at the tail end of his career. His best match is behind him, but he's still doing that swanton off the ropes, and you got to imagine the effects that's doing to him. I mean, probably a concussion a night from that.
Yeah.
All those crazy moves.
These guys really do get injured, and they really do a lot of damage to their body. And like I said, it's really, though, mentally, like I said, it's very hard for them to accept when
it's time to...
When it is time, because there is a rush. There is an adrenaline. There is a type of rush of going before that crowd, of hearing the chants, of being in that ring. There's a lot that goes on, and it's a certain type of high. And it just, I've heard a lot of stories, and I've talked to a lot of these guys.
It's got to be amazing and euphoric.
Yeah, and it is. And I just but to watch sometime, I mean, just the results of it. But
it's got to be cool, but you know what? You can't do it forever.
No, you can't. And it's hard watching from the outside because you want to say, look, like
everybody
really...
wants Shawn Michaels to come back, have one more match.
Oh, come on. No.
And he said quite simply, I would have to train for 3 months. I would have to get back into some working order and some kind of condition. I'd have to eat all this, this augmented, all these things, this augmented diet to get back into shape, just to come out and give one sweet chin music to somebody. You know what I mean? And he's not going to do it, and that's fine. You come out, get on the mic, cut a promo.
That's it.
Fine.
Yeah, But as far as like getting in there
wrestle.
and physical,
and I think Undertaker is going to have maybe a handful more spread out and maybe go one more WrestleMania.
I agree, but I just don't know that he should. I agree that we're going to see still.
Listen, and he doesn't have to. He could walk away right now and be like, that was his last match with Rusev.
Right.
He broke ground in Saudi Arabia. It made some historic things happen. The first casket match ever in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Ended on that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you won at WrestleMania in a BS match against John Cena. You lost against Roman Reigns the year before, and then Brock a few years earlier.
Another one. How you feel about Roman Reigns these days?
Again, the only way he's going to salvage himself is to go heel. He has got to make a heel turn because every awesome wrestler, every legend did it Undertaker, Stone
Oh,
Cold, Triple
absolutely.
H, The Rock. They all did it. They
Yeah.
all went heel and then came back as good guys. Like Seth Rollins, he did it in recent history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's got to do
I'm a
this
sucker for a heel.
because the only time they like him,
Yeah.
the only time they like him is when he's with the Shield.
Right.
And how many times
You're
are
right.
you
You're
gonna
absolutely
parade
right.
the Shield out there?
Yeah,
'Cause
and they
without the
can't
Shield-
anymore without the Shield.
Because Ambrose isn't there.
No, and we're all getting. I mean, lots of people are really getting tired though of him going over on everyone. Especially like Samoa Joe.
He shouldn't
Backlash.
have
A
beat-
lot
he
of
shouldn't have won that match.
there comes a time. Samoa Joe really deserves a shot.
He's the one who got screwed
He
at
is.
Backlash.
I totally agree with that. So with that, yeah, and I like Roman Reigns. I like
want to
Roman
be a
Reigns,
Roman
but
Reigns fan, but
same
nobody's
here.
behind him.
Yeah, I agree. I want to be a Roman Reigns
There's
fan.
a handful
but
of people
Samoa
I
Joe.
know that love him.
Same thing as Shavonne. Shavonne's got the hots for Samoa Joe. And
I'm
I told her,
all
no, he's
down
mine.
with the heels.
He's
I'm
mine.
all
Samoa Joe's
down.
mine.
I'm all down with Samoa Joe.
I'm with Jinder Mahal. I'm
down with
Rusev.
Jinder.
Happy Rusev Day every day.
So it's going to take a lot to resurrect what he's
Same
going
as
to do.
Jinder Mahal. Like Jinder Mahal, I just don't think he's getting a fair shot. A lot of them, I don't feel they're getting a fair shot. Now, back to what I was saying about
And I
the
was
ladies.
so behind Big Cass, but he screwed himself. And
Yeah.
he might be on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I agree. Are you happy Daniel Bryan's back?
I can't stand Daniel Bryan.
Same here. Thank you.
Can't stand him. Sorry.
I agree.
Cannot stand him.
It's just something about him.
Couldn't stand him as GM either.
Yeah.
Thought he was horrible.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't. I don't buy into his act. Just like I don't buy into Shinsuke Nakamura. I can't stand him, and as a heel, he's even worse. But this is the only way to save him because he's doing the same Roman Reigns syndrome. He wasn't accepted by the fans as a babyface, so they made him a heel. Now everybody hates him.
I think he was accepted
No,
as
he
a
wasn't.
babyface.
They-
Everybody,
nobody-
the second
no.
his music starts, people go nuts.
Yeah, but you know what? He wasn't winning the crowd over. They
But
liked
I
him.
don't speak
They
English.
liked him, but they weren't behind him because the people they put against him.
I agree.
AJ Styles. Everybody loves AJ Styles.
No, they
Nobody's
don't.
gonna
I don't
root-
like AJ Styles.
like
I
AJ
do
Styles.
not like AJ
Thank you, brother.
Styles.
A
He
lot
is
of
a soccer
people-
mom. He looks like a soccer mom. I call him lady. I always say, hey, lady.
A lot of people don't like wrestling with him because he's not safe. You know,
Shinsuke?
No,
AJ.
well, him too.
Uh-huh.
But they say AJ's not safe to work with. Some of his moves, they just let him go. He doesn't care. But you fight with Dolph Ziggler or John Cena, that you're coming out in one piece.
Right, exactly.
So-
No, I did. Okay, on the day of the Greatest Royal Rumble, Twitter was hot that day. Twitter was on fire with everybody talking about the Greatest Royal Rumble. And I did make a comment. Somebody had posted about them not letting women wrestle. And I did say, yes, they did. They let AJ Styles wrestle. Because I call him a lady. He's got great hair. He looks like a soccer mom. He's got great hair. So I always call him, hey, lady. I mean, whatever. Yeah, but I agree. Okay, Shinsuke. So Shinsuke's falling. So with that being said, anything else we got to catch up on tonight? We've got Raw. Tomorrow we've got
SmackDown.
We've got SmackDown.
Later in the week, there's NXT, but I'm not really following it too much.
Yeah, I agree.
I got an interesting Metals Minute coming up shortly.
So let's go into Metals Minute before we take a break.
Okay. The most annoying songs to get stuck in your head.
Oh God, don't do this to us.
No, but the
wait,
thing is,
I need some white noise. I don't even want to hear this.
We
segment.
we had the Eclipse show where you did Total Eclipse of the Heart,
Mm-hmm.
and how I said that's one of the songs I, God forbid, ever get stuck in my head.
That song's now stuck in my head.
I have like 3 or 4 that when they get into my head, they're in for a long period of time because I can't get them out.
Why is he gonna do this to us?
You wanted a Metals Minute segment like on the fly. I didn't know there was going to be a show.
I know.
You know? So I thought about it on the way up here, and I'm like, this will stymie the two of you and make it so I'll never get a Metals Minute again. So we did the obvious one, Total Eclipse of the Heart. And, maybe you could put little snippets of these songs.
I'm going to, yeah.
My list, and not necessarily in this order. What is it? Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up.
Give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
The next one is Barbie World.
Hiya, Bobby.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go for a ride?
Sure, Ken.
Jump in.
I'm a Barbie girl in the Barbie world.
I don't know that song well enough to get it stuck in my head.
Good. You consider
That's the
yourself
one.
fortunate
I'm a
and
Barbie
lucky.
girl
Yeah.
in a Barbie
In a really high
world.
pitch. In a really high pitch, augmented producer's nightmare of a song. That's another one because I don't know where I've heard it, but I've heard it many times.
It's annoying, but I have one to get stuck in your head that's a good one, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want you to finish that.
I didn't have them written down, but I had them, no pun intended, in my head. So this one I like, though. 500 miles. The Proclaimers. I'm gonna.
But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more. The beat of man who walked 1,000 miles to follow that shoot.
That song is awesome. It's fun to sing along to. Sweet Caroline.
That's a great song to get stuck in your head.
That's a stadium song.
Right. I will go down the road
So
and
some of them
scream
aren't
to
bad.
the top of my lungs, Sweet
Some
Caroline.
of these songs aren't bad to have stuck in your head.
Yeah.
But others are. And I came out with the worst 3 or 4 first.
Yeah.
And then came out with good ones to get stuck in your head.
Yeah.
So, Ghostbusters from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's not such a bad one, but it gets stuck there.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me some of yours because I gave mine. That was on
I
those are my list.
too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt, so sexy it hurts. Remember that song was like really popular?
Right, said Fred.
I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt. So sexy it hurts.
Yes, it was Right Said Fred. And then you know what tune I always have in my head every day? Like I get thoughts, but then like I think it's funny. And it's just, it's like that banjo one.
Dueling banjos.
What is it called?
Dueling banjos.
Is that what it's called? I always get a bright idea and I'm like,
Take a clip from YouTube for that.
I am. Because I just wanted someone to, I knew it was banjos, but I didn't know it was dueling banjos.
Oh, yeah?
And I was going to make a post one day.
That's that front porch
just
shit.
thinking.
Back in the day.
Well, when I have a bright idea, that's the
You
theme.
remember the Family Guy episode when they moved to the South? Remember Stewie sitting on the porch? He's just got his diaper on and he's playing the banjo. It's warm today. It was warm yesterday.
Shavonne, what do you got to say? Any songs that you care to share that
get
you
stuck
hate,
in your
that
head?
get stuck
There
in your
was
head?
one,
Whether you hate
or
them or
that
not.
you like.
No, I mean, there's no songs that do it on a regular basis, but there was one a few weeks ago that I just could not. And it's, for me, when a song gets stuck in my head, it's usually just one line of that song. Not the whole song, just like one freaking line.
Like day by day.
Yeah.
By day by day.
So
by
that
day.
song, Best Friend by, who is that? Sophie.
I thought you meant the rap. That's my best friend,
No,
best friend,
no.
best friend.
It's a popular song right now. What's her name? I can't remember. Sophie Tucker. Sophie Tucker's song Best Friend. And yeah, a line from that song just kept playing in my head.
How's the
over
line
and
go?
over. I don't even want to know right now.
Good.
Anyway.
We have a card game to play too, Joy. Let's make some time for that too.
We will. We're going to go to take a break, and then we'll come back next segment with odd news, and then we will play Bad People. Okay, so we're back to Now Trending Live. I'm Joy Cannizzaro, and we've got Shavonne and Chris Metal. Chris Metal, where can we find you when you're not here?
Skyhawk Radio on the Talk channel, Saturday nights. Chris Metal Radio show. Go to skyhawkradio.com, click the Talk channel. And at chrismetalradio.com.
Awesome. Shavonne, you're out there in the internet
On the interwebs.
On the interwebs. Where can we find you when you're not here?
You can find me on Twitter at Day by Day Podcast, or just go to my website, ShavonneKenyon.com. Yes, that's my last name. ShavonneKenyon.com. Box office this weekend. Number 3.
I want you to listen. You are a woman.
Topping the box office this weekend. Number 3.
I want you to listen. You are a woman. Alone at the mercy of strangers.
What do you want?
We want something in the house.
I will do anything to protect my kids.
Do exactly what I say, or you and your kids will not survive this night. Do you understand?
Breaking in with 16.5 million. Number 2.
Hi there, here's some things to do if you're a new college student. Get your room ready. Check. Make some new friends. Check. Find yourself suddenly perimenopausal. Check. Delete. Not yet. Okay.
Life of the Party with 18.5 million. And number 1.
There was an idea to bring together
a group of remarkable people.
To see if we could become something more.
So when they needed us, we could fight the battles
that they never could.
Avengers Infinity War with 61.8 million and 547 million overall. Opening this week.
Sorry I'm late. I was rounding up all the gluten in the world and launching into space where it can't not hurt us ever again.
Deadpool 2. Foul-mouthed mutant mercenary Wade Wilson, aka Deadpool, brings together a team of fellow mutant rogues to protect a young boy of supernatural abilities from the brutal, time-traveling mutant Cable. Starring Josh Brolin, Morena Baccarin, and Ryan Reynolds.
I would like to introduce you to Christian Grey. Oh, no. We started this book club to stimulate our minds. From what I hear, this book is quite stimulating.
Book Club. 4 lifelong friends have their lives forever changed after reading 50 Shades of Grey in their monthly book club. Starring Diane Keaton, Jane Fonda, Candice Bergen, and Mary Steenburgen.
His victim's body had the markings of someone choked to death using a fisherman's knot.
Only the killer could know those facts.
Dark Crimes. A murder investigation of a slain businessman turns to clues found in an author's book about an eerily similar case. Starring Jim Carrey.
And we're back here to Now Trending live on NowTrendingRadio.com. So we've got some odd news coming up. Then after we got odd news, then we'll move over to bad people.
Odd news, bad people.
Odd news, bad people, then what's so funny?
Okay.
How's that?
We're really packing this full.
We are. Did you guys like that what's so funny clip?
The dog
was awesome.
was cute.
Was it not? I need a dog like that.
I can imagine one of my dogs doing that.
Right? Just being out in front.
They love you so much. They miss you.
Right? I wish my cat would even do that. Maybe we should start bringing him with me and then teaching him. Yeah, and then he could honk the horn when I'm inside. I'd feel special. I'd feel wanted. That video makes you feel wanted, right? Like if that was your dog. So moving on to odd news. I don't know if any of you have heard this story about the serial Dine and Dash dater. A woman is speaking out after falling victim to a man being called the Dine and Dash dater of Pasadena, California. The woman, who did not wish to be identified, said she met Paul Gonzalez on a dating app. He was really good looking, she said. Right away I was thinking, why did he choose me? Gonzalez ran up the bill, ordering a shrimp salad and a filet mignon before making an excuse to step out. All of a sudden, he's all, oh, my phone's dying, and I'm waiting on a call from my mom and my aunt. But his date told a CNN affiliate, I'm going to go to the car to get my charger. She soon realized her date was not coming back, leaving her stuck with a bill that was $130. The woman, who was feeling embarrassed, did not tell the restaurant about her situation, but reported the incident to police. She then came to find out that this was not the first time for Gonzalez, as he was accused of the same routine. According to police, Gonzalez had dashed from at least 4 other dates in the past few months. Dining and dashing is considered a crime in California. You can be jailed for up to 6 months and fined up to $1,000 if your dine and dash bill was under $950. So Gonzalez's date said she tried contacting him to see if he would take responsibility for his actions. However, he didn't answer.
His phone was dead.
Can't pay his yeah. That was a good one, Shavonne, because that's the excuse. But that's
funny.
Messed up.
It's funny, though, because I would never think of reporting that to the police. I'd be like, oh, this douchebag just stood me up. You know? Like, I wouldn't think of reporting that to the police, but, you know, okay.
Chris, would you ever do that to a girl, go out on a date with a girl, and then just be like, hey, my phone battery's dead. I'm waiting on a call from my mom. I'm going to the car to get my charger and take off?
I wouldn't use that excuse.
He would do it, but not use that excuse.
No, I would come up with something more believable.
Oh, jeez.
What? Like what? I mean, I think that's pretty believable.
Well,
like if you said my phone...
I'll be right back.
That is a great idea. I'll be right back, and then you don't come back.
It's like the lady who said she was going to wait for me with the police.
I can't believe she got out of the car to check on you, and then she took off. That's messed up.
I'm glad you're laughing at my sad story.
No, I'm sorry. I'm laughing with you.
I will laugh soon, but not right now.
I am sorry, my dear Shavonne. Go ahead.
Is that all we have to say about the Dine and Dasher?
I don't know, because he's staying pretty quiet over there. I'm trying to get questions out of him, which now makes me believe
he
that
didn't
he's
deny
that
that he would do it.
He
so-
didn't. He didn't say, "Oh, I'd never do that."
I'd never do that.
It depends on the circumstances. It depends on the fallout from the date. Like if
But
it was
you-
a blind date, or if it's somebody you've known a long time, or somebody you're sitting with, and you get into a heated discussion with or disagreement, and then something like that takes you
Blind
to that
date.
point.
You meet some chick online. You invite her out to eat. Okay? You ate, then...
Okay.
See?
Let me just say...
It depends on what
You're
happens.
not making yourself... No, but you asked this lady out on a date. What if you guys still don't get along? It's not going to work out. Should you then pay for the date? Should you go Dutch? Or do you take off like this guy?
I don't think I would develop a vibe by the point of ordering food, whether this is going to go well or not.
Okay, let me...
So at that point, you order lightly.
Let me share a personal story that has recently happened to me.
Dun, 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 dun.
And I know this person is not going to be listening, so... So, I recently had a dinner date, but not really a romantic date.
I have one too.
To kind of hash things out, I would say. And before I got there a little early, before my companion, and I ordered, and I paid for it before he even sat down, before he even got there, just in case I had to storm out. I didn't want to stiff him with the bill. I didn't want to leave any food unpaid for. But I was prepared in case I had to storm out. Thankfully, I didn't have to storm out. It went well.
But what are the rules these days? I mean, as far as, Chris, you should know better because you're a man. What are the rules these days when it comes to dating and paying for the date?
Chris.
I'm trying to formulate my answer.
Oh, you're
Is it
quiet.
that hard?
Okay. I would prefer to pay when I go on a date with somebody. When you go on a date with someone, be prepared to pay.
Mhm.
Like, one, have sufficient funds. I recommend carrying cash.
Right.
Because if there's ever a problem with a credit card or a debit card.
Right, you don't want that
It can be
embarrassment.
humiliatingly
Agreed.
embarrassing. You know, the guys that can lean over to oh, sorry. So, you know. So in that aspect, if I ask a lady out on a date, I'm prepared to pay for the meal. If I can afford
That's
it.
already your mindset. Like, you've asked her out, and you're like, hey, I'm going to pay for this date.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that she's expecting it because
Yeah.
haven't you been in questionable
Well,
situations?
let me say, a few weeks ago, I did go on a date with someone else. I went on a brunch date, and he paid for the brunch, and then afterwards we went and had drinks, and I paid for the drinks, and he actually told me he was offended that I paid for his drink, that he does not like women to pay at all. And I was like, well, you know, I'm an independent, liberated woman. I can pay for your drinks. Like,
Yeah.
and the thing is, too, is that he wasn't reaching for his wallet very fast to pay
I
for
was
it.
just
so
gonna say, at what point? Yes.
Yeah, I
Would
kinda
you
took it on
feel
myself.
offended? Say you go out with a girl and then she goes ahead and she picks up the tab. Are you gonna be offended?
If she's making $1 million a year, or several $100,000 a year, I wouldn't be offended.
What if you don't know what she's making? I mean, because this guy doesn't know how much you make, right?
No, but that's. I mean, I think we're kind of on the same financial
But
level.
should girls do that? Should women like just go ahead and pay for it? Because some men are sensitive to that. Like, I'll tell you an instance. Go real fast. Sorry to cut you off before you answer, but I was at a funeral a few weeks ago, right? So it was a male who was next to me, and it was actually I watched this kid grow up, but he's actually a young man now, and he started getting teary-eyed, crying, right? And there was tissues right next to me, and I wasn't sure whether to give him one or not, because he's that macho kind where he may take offense to me handing him a tissue. So I didn't hand him the tissue. So Wendy, it was her nephew, she handed him the tissue, and he refused it. Like, and it was funny because I think he refused it, like, as this manly gesture, but I just picked up those vibes. Because here's this funeral going on. He's crying, and I'm sitting here wondering, do I hand him a tissue or not? I was like, I don't think it's appropriate. Like, a man may take that offensively, so I didn't. And like I said, when Wendy went to hand it to him, even though he had
rejected
tears,
it.
he rejected it.
That's interesting. Because I would think if you're going to ever offer someone a Kleenex, that's the place to do it, is at a funeral.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? So is it offensive, though? Like I said, men have these funny, sensitive ways. So you're on a date, and a woman just picks up the tab. Do you feel like, offended? Like, I'm the man here? I need a man like that.
Well,
I'll introduce you to my friend.
It depends on what the relationship was to the man and the deceased. It depends on his level of crying, I think. Everybody has their breaking point when they lose control of the emotions and the waterworks start flowing.
But I think men don't want to be recognized when that happens.
They don't want to be remembered for it, for sure.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to be remembered as the whimpering and sobbing and all that under the conditions. It's one of those things. If someone handed me tissues, I would take them. Because what am I going to do?
But on a date, though, on a date, now let's go back to the date. Would you be offended? You're out on a date. You asked a woman out, and then she just picks up the check. Like, would you be like, wow? Would you be... Some men will be offended because
my friend was.
There's alpha male types where they feel that that's their job.
I've always reached for the check when they put it on the table in a neutral spot.
Mhm.
Like if they put it in the middle of the table, I'll reach for it. Most likely it comes towards me. I'll kind of wave the server when they're about to bring it over. I'm like, I'll have my hand ready. As soon as I pick it up and it's in my hand, the lady would say, "Oh, let me get that," or say something like that. And I'll say, "No, it's good. When we go to an expensive place, you can get it." And I say it jokingly.
Right.
And then she persists. I'm like, "Okay, you can leave the tip." If she wants to.
How long do you wait before, okay, the server comes by, puts the check on the table. Do you automatically pick it up or do you wait a while? Do you wait to see if she picks it up?
I pick it up almost immediately.
Yeah, that
just
was
to
the thing.
establish it.
Right? Have you ever...
But my friend,
Right,
when we had brunch,
right,
I think the server handed him the check, but when we went out to drinks, the server just put the bill
on the table.
like in between us, and he just let it sit there for a good 5 minutes, and I finally was like, okay, I'll pay for this. He already paid for brunch.
Because do you ever feel that way? Have you ever been in a situation where you feel that way and the person actually expected it, even if it was, it's a man and it's there and you're just like, okay.
So, but then when I took it, he's like, oh, I didn't even see it sitting there. Why did you pay for it? I was like, well, it was sitting there for like 5 minutes and you didn't read. Like, I don't know. It just was like, I kind of felt like he made a bigger deal out of it than needed too. But, now I know in the future.
Okay, then give me my money back.
I was like, all right, well, I don't mind buying you a drink. You paid for brunch. I'll buy you a drink.
Yeah.
So it really, in my mind, wasn't a big deal, but apparently he thought it was.
Yeah, some men, like I said, they really are offended by things that way. They feel it takes away, I don't know, like their manliness or something like that. So moving on, a Florida man is accused.
Hey, what about my story?
Oh, I thought you. I'm so sorry.
Jeez, Joy, hog the show.
That was your story. I'm sorry, Shavonne.
You're the one who talked about the dining dasher.
I did. Go.
All right. Okay, this is painting a scene for you. Behind the apartment's curtain, a tough guy is boxing, throwing left and right hooks and jabs and lunging forward enough to make any passing criminal think twice before breaking in. The image is nothing more than a projected shadow, but one that a Japanese apartment management company hopes will help protect and reassure women living by themselves. Speaking of independent women, still in the prototype stage, Man on the Curtain uses a smartphone connected to a projector to throw a moving shadow of a man doing various energetic activities onto a curtain.
I want one.
Customers can choose from a dozen different scenarios that show their man boxing, doing karate, even swinging a baseball bat. And to mix things up a bit, the man can calm down and do more mundane things like getting dressed, chill out with a guitar, or even do some vacuuming. I wish he would do some actual vacuuming. This system was developed for security at buildings run by Leo Palace 21 Corp. Queries from the public prompted the company to think bigger and consider offering it for sale. But some people have had doubts about how effective it might be. In particular, criminals might sooner or later work out that a man behind their curtain who spends his whole time shadow boxing actually means a woman is home alone. If projecting a shadow makes a woman an easy target by showing criminals there's nobody home, that would put the cart before the horse. So we'd like to commercialize it once we add varieties such as releasing a new video every day. Joy, is this, if you, when you get your new place, is this something you would invest in?
Yeah, and then I wonder, do they have different shaped guys? Like, they need to not only have
from
them
the
doing
video,
different things.
From the video, the guy looks about the same.
And then, like, my whole neighborhood will think I'm some whore because I'll have a guy over every
a different
night.
One.
I'll have a slim boxer.
Which they'll never see in daylight.
Shadow. It's just, I'll have a slim, big, hefty boxer. The next day I'll have some big vacuuming fat guy. Can we get animals, like a cat, like
there
walking by?
Get
like,
a German Shepherd.
Dog barking thing
big
too.
Dog, yeah, big ferocious dog, like a big rah, 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 like. I mean, I like the idea,
but I think
poke you owe me a Coke. That's what you're gonna get for Christmas.
Oh my God!
For Christmas,
you just did that.
I'm getting Shavonne a shadow man.
Wow, he'd probably offer a lot more affection than a regular man. That's why I say if he could actually vacuum, it would. I'd be sold on it.
And I wonder, is he clothed or does it look like some
It's
fat
just a
guy in his
shadow.
underwear? I know.
Put
but
the
sometimes if
projector.
you have-
Put the projector on your Roomba. And
There
walk
you
around the
go.
house while he's vacuuming. Can we get to this game?
We're almost there. We got 2 more stories. So a Florida man is accused of hiding his legless fugitive girlfriend from police by stuffing her into a plastic storage container. 48-year-old John Robert Carr Jr. of Winter Haven is charged with resisting arrest. News outlets report Carr attempted to hide 39-year-old Crystal Lee Anderson from U.S. Marshals and Polk County Sheriff's deputies on Tuesday. Anderson was wanted for failing to appear on court charges, including false imprisonment related to a 2015 incident when she allegedly held people hostage at a Burger King with a BB gun. It ended in a shooting with police, and she lost both of her legs. Authorities received a tip that Anderson was with Carr. He denied Anderson was there, but an officer had spotted Carr placing the now 4-foot-tall woman in the container. She surrendered without incident.
So sorry.
My question is she without legs, is she technically on the run?
I see what you did there. You're going to get sued for that
That
one.
was awful, but
Yeah,
why'd you
I
guys
get
go
what you're
quiet
saying.
on me?
Because it was-
You said
You
but.
can-
I was waiting for you to
Is that not
continue.
true love?
You can put a dramatic sound effect in the silence. when you
But
edit.
is that not true love? Like, she has no legs, so he picked her up and stuffed her in a little plastic storage container to hide her from the
guess
marshals.
that's
Poke
love.
holes in it so she could breathe?
I hope so.
Only in Florida.
Only, you know what? When I read the story, I hadn't read he was from Florida as of yet, and my first thing in my head said, "I bet you this happened in Florida," and it was.
Sure it was.
Would you do that? Would you have a leg? Would you have a legless fugitive girlfriend that's on the run, Chris Meadow? This whole show has been based on love and crazy relationships.
Yeah, sometimes I really wish Drew was here.
I mean, the
You know what I mean?
65,000 texts to the royal wedding,
Because
to the
you
Dine
guys-
and Dasher, to this.
You guys came up with this, then ask me because I'm male.
No, that's why it's great having
It
you.
is, it's
because
great.
women
But where's Drew when I
interpret
need
things. Women interpret things differently than men. So, is a legless fugitive woman up your alley?
It's got to be the right legless fugitive. Boy, I'll tell you. I know so many.
As long as she
you
pays
know?
for her meal.
What do you have to pay for?
She can offer. Let's say she's legless
If
for a
she
reason.
offers-
Let's say she's legless because she got a huge insurance settlement from an accident.
She's legless because she got shot up by the police when she was trying to hold up the Burger King with her BB gun.
Let's just say that my legless fugitive,
He's already claiming a legless
not this
fugitive.
one,
I want to meet
but
her.
mine.
So do
Okay.
I.
Let's say she got in a car accident or a boating accident, and she got a huge insurance settlement, and she's still legless, and she may have robbed a bank or ripped somebody off and became fugitive, but she offered to pay because she had X amount of millions.
And garbage bags stuffed under
And
her
garbage
mattress.
bags, I don't care if she pays
Smart
in
girl. She may
cash.
be legless, but she's a smart girl.
Brain still works.
I like the people we make up here.
She's got to be a smart legless fugitive.
So, would you stuff her in a plastic storage container
At her request?
if the marshals came looking for her?
At her request, I would shove her in a plastic tote.
Anything for you, honey.
Chris is
I'd
a
probably
great guy.
say something like that.
Chris is a great
Until
guy.
he dines and dashes and stamps you with the bill.
Shavonne, what do you have for us?
Okay, so this is not about love at all. Sorry, Chris. We won't pick on you. Take the highway past the Dutch village of Jelsum, and the road will play you a tune. Created by strategically laid rumble strips as a way of livening up journeys across the flat landscape, the novelty has worn thin for locals who say the constant droning melody is driving them crazy. The tune is created when car buyers, what is that? That must be a Dutch term. When cars drive over the strips, which are usually deployed at the side of major roads to warn drivers they are straying off course. But these have been laid in such a way they sing out a melody. If hit at the correct speed, which is 40 miles per hour, The road will sing out the anthem of the Friesland region, a northern part of the Netherlands that has a distinct language and culture. But it is loud, and the sound travels, and locals say the musical road had created a never-ending cacophony that keeps them awake at night.
Imagine if it was Funky Town.
One of these songs that gets stuck in your head. Last Saturday...
Am I gonna give you up?
Last Saturday night, the taxis were driving from Leeuwarden to Steens, and on the way back, they tried to go across the lines as quickly as possible. And we had the anthem played all night at high speed. The Friesland Authority has agreed to remove the rumble strips that were just put in recently at a cost of around $90,000. Money well spent.
People don't think ideas like, some cities and towns, and they just go into spending money that's not thought about first. Like,
I mean, I think it's a good idea. Maybe if it played not the rumble strip sound, because we all know what that sounds like, the boom boom boom, which is not nice. But if it played like a piano melody as you drove across it,
right?
I don't know.
Like the theme to Funky Town. Ding, 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 ding.
Could you imagine hearing
You
that
have to go
all the
40.
time if you're local?
You have to go 40. You have to go 40 to hear it in the proper tempo.
Yeah, if
of
you
the
go
song.
too fast or too slow, it's just gonna ruin it.
It's gonna mess it up. So you
Great
know what
idea.
speed you're supposed to be.
a
It's
great
actually probably
idea.
great. Unfortunately, that would be a very bad song to live next to.
Exactly. So.
Good for
Maybe
them.
we've thought of something here,
Feed
guys.
the homeless first.
This could be our $1 million idea.
Well, you know what? Where is this? Dutch, Netherlands. Okay, they probably don't have a homeless problem.
Probably not.
Okay.
But
Because I don't see one happening here in Palm Beach County.
I agree. So with that being said, are you guys ready to be bad people?
I have two categories of bad people. We're going to get to both.
Okay, we're going to go with nice first, right?
We could flip around.
Okay, so whatever happens here, we're going to walk out of here friends, guys.
Okay.
And just a warning, I do have to teach, so I have to get out of here pretty shortly.
Well, we're going. This is going to take us a
We
few
do.
minutes.
Forget those. You know what? We'll teach. Bring the kids
Oh,
in here.
Lord.
Bring the students,
They're not
kids.
kids.
You're right. I don't know why I said that.
Because other people say that.
I know, but
and
bring
I
the
think
students
it's
in here.
derogatory.
You're absolutely right.
Okay, first question is the general population question, which is not bad. Okay, so this is normal.
Okay.
If we were all in prison, who would rise to prison gang leader?
Are we including Drew or just
We
the people
are
in here?
including Drew because he's
Somehow I think it would be Joy. She'd get us to rally behind her.
I was gonna say I'm
I
taking
think
this
she
ish
would
over.
cut all of our throats.
If we didn't,
I think she would just rise to power and forget the little people.
Oh, I would not. But I'd rise to power in jail. I'm great that you guys think of me like this.
That's where it counts, Joy.
I think you can be ruthless.
Right?
And in jail, you'd have to be.
I get scary. I have a
think
scary side, right?
I would pick Drew because of his mass.
Because he's
Yeah,
scary.
he would
But
rise
he
to
doesn't
so
have the
nice.
mouth. He just
But he doesn't have the microphone skills.
He's just not scary.
But he does have the
That's it.
demeanor.
So me with Drew's size.
He could be your strong man.
Unstoppable. Nia
Yeah.
Jax. Nia
Yes,
Jax.
I love Nia Jax.
Okay, and this is from the Bad People Brutal Pack.
Ugh, no cursing.
Uh-oh.
If we were all prostitutes, who would make the least amount of money?
You're an ass. You're a jerk.
You're gonna have to go beep. Who would make
I'm gonna
the
go with
least?
you for that one.
Fair enough.
That's what I was gonna say. Sorry, Chris.
Unanimous, Chris. All right. So,
You go with you, or you just don't want to offend one of us?
no, I don't want to offend one of you guys. I knew I was going to pick one of the two of you. I'm going to pick Drew.
Oh, that's right, Drew. We could have stayed safe with Drew. Drew's our safe.
Yeah, Drew wouldn't do it. because
Drew's
he-
the safeguard.
No, because Drew loves his family, so he wouldn't do it.
Yes, he would.
Then he'd be a bad prostitute.
Drew would. Drew would prostitute.
So,
Pay the bills.
That's because he loves his
That
family.
wasn't in the question. From the regular selection of questions,
Okay.
if a private investigator did a background check on all of us, whose would be the most unsettling?
I like the card.
Mine
with
would be the
middle
most
finger.
boring.
Okay, we're not picking you, Shavonne. It's between you and me.
Or
you and me are the
Drew.
bad seeds
Or
here.
Drew.
No, because you and Drew are these goody two shoes.
We're boring.
And Joy and I smoke I used to smoke, but we did the bad things.
I used to smoke.
Smoking doesn't get you on the FBI watch list.
No,
now we're talking legitimately. Now, legitimately, record to record.
We listened to the devil's music. We dabbled in bad things as opposed to you two angels.
Do you smoke the devil's lettuce?
I just think it would, out of the four of us, it would come down to me and you.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
And I gave a couple of examples.
Now, who's the worst? Is that as bad?
That should be a Twitter
now,
poll.
Legitimately on paper wise. Again, the question again? Between you and I?
Whose background
check would be the most unsettling?
Like legitimately.
There's really
I don't know.
There's really no other way.
You don't know what you're comparing.
I know what I'm comparing to. So does that mean we spill the beans and then you be the judge?
No, we don't have enough time on the show.
Then I'm going to go with Chris.
I'm going to go with Joy.
Okay, I agree. Probably Joy.
Shucks.
Okay.
I never get picked for these things.
This is from the Brutal Pack.
But now when it comes to bad people,
you win all the cards.
This is from the Brutal Pack.
Uh-oh.
Look at the back of the card. It's shooting a bird, so it's funny. It's like
least likely to give.
I'm offended every time I look at these cards.
Least likely to give a rip about third world countries. And I subtitled "rip" for another word, four-letter word starting with S.
Oh.
Chris Metal.
Wow, that's harsh.
I'm
going with Joy.
I'm going to say Drew because he's not here.
It's the least likely. Yeah. Let's go with Drew.
That's funny.
Okay, Drew won that one. We all agree?
Drew.
Yeah,
yep.
Drew.
Okay, Drew. We all agree that one.
All right, this is from the regular box.
Cancel everything that was said before we said Drew. At least we get to edit that one out. I can edit that one out and go straight to Drew. Go straight to Jew.
Real good. I'm Italian. Who would I trust the least with a newborn baby?
Oh, gosh.
Chris Metal!
So you know what? Out of the four
Joy.
of us, the four of us, I mean, you have to choose one person. I guess it would be Chris, only because.
See?
Well, Chris doesn't have kids.
Chris looks like he'd throw a baby in the air.
No.
Like, hey, it's Metallica.
No, I think Chris.
Turn the page.
Really, I think Chris would be okay with a newborn baby, but if I have to choose.
But that's what I mean. Chris, I think you'd definitely be good with the newborn baby.
I'm picking one of the two of us that don't have kids.
Okay.
So I'm going to pick Shavonne. I'm defending myself here.
Yes.
Like, I was going to pick you, Joy, because
forget those maternal instincts.
Because my kids have last 22 years.
I pick you, Joy,
alive.
because you'd probably smoke around them in the car or in the kitchen, something like that. You probably text while you should be like holding them with both hands. So I'm gonna pick you. So screw you both.
Thanks, Chris Metal.
You're welcome.
Turn the page.
Here I am.
I'm actually trying to picture you, Chris, holding a newborn baby, and I don't know.
I have proof of it. And
I'm sure you have held a newborn baby.
Fine.
But are you nervous?
Exactly.
To do
That's what I was
it?
gonna say.
I'm gonna say. That's what I'm saying.
Nervous.
No, not you. I'm saying as a male. That's why
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Okay, like I think
Newborn
you fly
as
a
in-
baby in the air. I'm saying, you know what? I think out of all of us, when it comes down to it, that it's just the nervousness. Like, are you anxious?
Let's-
Like, if someone were to take
Or
a newborn baby
uncomfortable.
and put it in your hands.
Let's define what newborn is.
Within a
Same
week
day,
old.
Within a week, fuck. I wouldn't even unless it was my own. I wouldn't hold it.
Okay, so there you go. Because
Like,
I'd
you
be
know,
like,
if
give me
someone
that
just puts
baby.
the baby in. Yeah,
I
right.
don't know of
Women are
anybody who's
different.
going to do that in a week of it being in existence.
I would. I'd be
Women
like,
do
give me that baby.
They go to the hospital. Like, if we go to the hospital, see our friends.
I don't feel the same way.
Exactly,
I
that's
can look
why
at,
you would-
I can look at the child or the baby, the infant, but I wouldn't want to hold it unless it was my own. Then I'd have a paternal instinct that would kick in.
Right.
But if it was someone else's,
What
say
if
the
your
same.
paternal instinct didn't kick in?
Of holding the baby properly.
Right, you know, I mean,
Your own child.
how do you know how to hold a baby properly? Do you get instructions?
I'm sure there's a YouTube video. So there's a nurse that can show us how to do it. There's a class before the baby's born.
I just think it's funny how men are like that. Like, women,
Yes.
we already.
Well, I'm picturing. I have a cousin who he's still single. He doesn't have any kids. But the first time I saw him hold a baby was just hysterical because he just was like so uncomfortable and like he
Like,
he
what do you
wanted
do?
to he just wanted to be so gentle and nurturing with it, but he just
It
looked
is.
so
It's odd,
awkward.
yeah. Chris, if you don't stop shooting a bird at me with that card, that's what it looks like. It looks like you're just like, screw you.
Okay, we need to wrap this up.
Yeah,
I
one
got
more.
things to do.
Brutal pack. Oh wait, if we're gonna wrap it up, then I gotta.
He's going brutal.
Pick a good one.
I gotta do 2 from each. I'm sorry, I gotta do it. If we all had 24 hours to live, who's most likely to kill someone?
True.
True.
I know I'm scary, but I can't kill someone.
Yeah.
I would have picked me.
Would you?
I have a manifesto.
Yeah, I believe. You know what?
I must be honest.
Okay.
Most of us do. We just don't talk about it.
I don't want to go to hell out. For
Awkward silence. I'm now
and
scared
I wouldn't
of
get
Chris
punished
Metal.
on Earth.
I hope I'm not on his
Don't
list.
piss me off, and you'll be fine.
I'm not on his list now. I know he's got.
Chris
a
has a
manifesto.
list.
The list isn't as long as people would think it is. So
well, that's good to know.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, for the regular population question, we have 2 more.
Oh,
Most
gosh.
likely to ask an overweight woman if she's pregnant.
Chris would do that.
This is not fair.
I would probably just do it out of naivete. Because I
When I see a woman and I'm unsure, I don't ask. I've seen men do that. It's usually men
it's usually
who
men.
do that.
I would have to vote my father on this one.
My dad
Well,
would
the
be
4 of us. I mean,
Have you ever done that, Chris Metal?
I have not, but I've been around someone who did.
Okay.
And it is embarrassing.
It is.
Okay, general population question: whose funeral will have the smallest attendance?
Aw. That's awful.
We all agreed, and Drew, that we would still be friends after this segment.
I like how we can use Drew.
He's here in spirit. Because he's going to tune into this.
I better have a big funeral. That's all I got to say.
I better rent out Wembley Stadium for mine.
Oh, gosh.
And listen, I need comedians, guys. I don't want crying. I want everybody to laugh and over the speaker play stand-up comedy. Okay?
And lastly, this is funny. Most likely to have sex with someone because they have drugs.
Wait, because you're trying to get drugs from them?
Because they have drugs.
Oh, that wouldn't be me.
Joy.
I'm like, I don't understand the question, so it's clearly not me.
Most likely to have sex with someone because they have drugs. So you're looking to score something.
That was a past life of mine, guys.
I'm 40 now.
I didn't understand it, so it's clearly not me.
Would you have sex with somebody because they have drugs? Drugs that you prefer, that you would want to take, and someone's going to give them to you because you're about to have sex with them?
Who's the most likely in a group to do something like that?
Not me.
I'll pay for my own stuff, but yeah. I'd do that.
I don't know. Oh, Chris,
Depends on the drug.
Are you owning up to this one?
Depends on the drug.
Okay.
Depends on the person too.
Good to know.
Got to depend on the person. I mean, that's got to matter too, right?
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
That's all I've got, Joy.
Okay, well that was fun. And before we go, we're gonna play I'm gonna show What's So Funny. So enjoy our What's So Funny video. We'll be back next week. Next week is gonna be the 21st. It's not Memorial next week, right?
Ooh, good question.
I think it's the next one.
The 29th. 28th.
The end of May.
Got another 2 weeks, so.
Well, with that being said, have a great week, everybody. Thank you for listening to Now Trending Live. Anybody want to say?
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Bye.
It's great to be back.
It is great to be back. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That is Diamond. A couple had stopped at the Subway in Grove City for some lunch when they saw this little dog barking and honking at its owner to hurry up. The video was posted on Facebook. Turns out this is not the first time Diamond has caused a ruckus. The pup has been seen around town doing this.
That.